welcome back to the Project Manga Podcast. I'm Knox.
What up, y'all? It's Kiko.
And Nickums.
And we are extremely excited to be kicking off Season 3 of our weekly Shonen Jump reviews. For those of you who don't know, we are Project Manga. We're a team of anime and manga enthusiasts who talk about anime and manga across a couple different podcast shows. But here specifically on this show, we break down 6 of the hottest titles coming out of Weekly Shonen Jump, including One Piece, My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Mashle, and Jujutsu Kaisen. When we started the show, and up until Weekly Shonen Jump issue number 52 of the last year, we had also been covering Chainsaw Man, but as you all know, Chainsaw Man Part 1 has ended, and Part 2 will be running inside of Jump Plus, moving forward, starting at a time that has yet to be announced, I believe. So,
hurry it up, Fujimoto, come on.
Right. We don't know exactly what we're going to be doing for the return of Chainsaw Man yet, so stay tuned for updates, but we are beyond hype to announce that Dr. Stone will actually be replacing Chainsaw Man in the second slot of our coverage moving forward. Now, we've been asked constantly, and we've gotten a couple different suggestions on what to request or what to replace Chainsaw Man with going into Season 3, and after many conversations, we settled on this decision of Dr. Stone. Now, it's pretty hard to think about like what series would be a perfect, replacement for Chainsaw Man, considering, just how different it is, compared to anything else that we've really seen before, especially inside of this genre. But we love Dr. Stone. We feel like it's not talked about nearly enough inside of the online Jump discussion communities and whatnot. And we want to try to tap into that fan base and just newer audiences in general. So that is where we are. Project Manga Season 3. Gentlemen, how do we feel?
Ready for it.
Good to start the new season. Let's go. We got some big chapters today.
Huge chapters. Huge chapters.
A lot of good shit.
Yes, and we are going to try to touch on, previous weeks that we missed while we were on break. I mean, we're not going to give like full in-depth chapter breakdowns of the previous issues, but some things will come up, I'm sure. Now, before we get into the discussion tonight, though, we do want to ask you to check out the links down in the description section. So whenever you have some time, those links there, you can check us out and find us on social media, join any of our online communities, and listen, on Spotify or wherever you normally get your podcast. There's also ways to support Project Manga down in the description, including our online store and Patreon. Now, as far as coverage goes, you guys, we came out of a break, and we're about to go into our first week of Season 3. And as far as like what's going on in the current landscape right now, when I was talking about it, like at the end of Season 2, we were like, everything is like building up towards Weekly Shonen Jump issue number 52. And I for some reason thought after Weekly Shonen Jump issue 52, and I understand that these are still, in very serious stages of these stories. Yeah. I don't know why I thought it was going to kind of like chill out a little bit.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Especially like the hero. It's like, why did I think Hero was going to like taper off at all at this point? Like, it's not supposed to. It's just we're peaking here. Like,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm super excited to get back into everything, gentlemen. It has been a couple weeks, and I am so ready to talk about some shit. So let's get in to the first chapter of tonight, which is Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 133, the Shibuya Incident, part 50. The big 5-0.
Yeah,
man.
Almost a whole straight year of weeks of Shibuya.
That's
wild. I know, technically it's more than a year of Shibuya, like chronologically, but 52 weeks. So it's wild that, feels like there's still going to be a couple more Shibuya chapters, right? Like it doesn't, we're not at the end, it depends on this conversation. It's supposed to happen, greatly. So, but going back to the beginning here, Geto.
A little flashback.
Yeah. Geto has now, prison realm on him, presumably, or maybe he doesn't, but at least it's been moved. He's picked it up. It's done processing Gojo, presumably, and it's been moved. I assume, Geto or whatever we're gonna call him has it on him, but maybe not. Maybe hand it off to somebody, just for safety, measures, I guess. You know? Sure.
I love this opening scene, this opening conversation with Todo and Nita. I feel like Gege, and I don't know if this is on purpose or if it's just because they're just effortless with making their characters look cool, but like throughout this chapter, I don't know why, but this chapter specifically made me think about it. Like Gege I feel like whatever position a body needs to be drawn in Jujutsu Kaisen, Gege makes sure to draw it like as cool as possible, no matter what position they're in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's because they're trying to do that, but like everyone always looks like they're in such a cool, like, you know, position all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Just like Gege, and a lot of that probably has to do with Gege's art style, but just like I'm going through the chapter and I'm just like, man. And maybe it's just because there's so many just raw, amazing characters in Jujutsu Kaisen that anything they do is just going to be cool no matter what. But I just love Gege's anatomy. I love the way they draw like literally everything. And coming out of the Shibuya incident, I know that this is kind of like going toward like this is like probably like one of the last 2 chapters of it. At least is what it feels like. I don't know. I feel like Gege is really going hard on the art side of things, especially inside of their like character designs, which is like a little bit more sketchy, you know, especially in the character designs. But like nowadays, like lately in the last couple of chapters, I feel like the line work has improved, or at least feels a lot more sound, or a lot more precise,
a little crisper,
crisper.
What I loved about this chapter, I mean, just to get to see inside like the mind states of other Jujutsu sorcerers who are not really on the protagonist's side, so to speak. I mean, they're on the protagonist's side, but they're not running with Yuji, right? Like they don't support Yuji. So it's like you get to see, you know, Kusakabe basically just get him out of here. Like, I don't really give a shit about this kid. I don't give a shit who's, you know, the host or, you know, whatever. Like, I don't care if there's a real person in there. This fucking dude just hit me with a meteor in this whole entire city. You know, I mean, I guess that was Jogo, but like he was, you know, obviously this is all, you know, a part of what he was doing. So it's like, just get him, just get him out of here. I don't give a shit about that kid, which I don't know if there's any more to it than that, you know, but that's just how I felt like Kusakabe was feeling. Like, I'm never going to support this kid. I support the death penalty. Just get him out.
Yeah. You know? Right. Yeah. I think it makes sense given how much damage Sukuna did, you know what I mean? Like, I think as we've been saying for many weeks, I think more sorcerers are going to be on that side of I'm for the death penalty for Yuji because it's just too dangerous now. Like we thought it was under control. The risk is too high. Another thing I thought was pretty cool. We go to Wee in Malaysia or whatever, like present time.
They're in Malaysia.
And so what I want to talk about with that is like so Mei Mei's on the phone and she's saying like, oh, me? Oh, Kuala Lumpur, right? Yeah. It's Wee Wee's curse technique. We almost got killed. Yeah. So it's as if Wee Wee's curse technique is like teleport you to a safe spot, right? Like they put some sort of like, you know, sigil or, you know, thing in this hotel room that or apartment that they have rented in Kuala Lumpur, and like shit hits the fan. All right, let's bounce. You know what I mean? So like we were wondering like what happened with the fight with Geto and that smallpox special grade or was it a special grade curse or whatever? That smallpox.
Yeah. So Mei killed that. Went to go confront Geto, and then like I think the last time like we saw them, she was like, "This is going to be a crazy fight if that smallpox curse gave us this much trouble. So you're probably going to have to sacrifice yourself for me." You know what I mean? While we're in this fight, and that was the last time we saw her.
So don't you think we will see a flashback of, you know, a little bit of their scuffle, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to see, you got to see that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that you leave it on a cliffhanger like that for as long as it has been since we've seen what was going on with that, just for you to change the entire situation and never go back to it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You could really easily get like just a couple panels of Geto like remembering back, right? Like, oh, that was a really interesting fight or something, right? And just a couple panels, boom, 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 they leave. Okay, then back to Yuji and Geto or whatever.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like back to kind of what I was talking about, looking in the mindsets. I mean, Mei Mei here, right? Like, so it's like obviously she's super hyper, you know, self-centered, selfish, all about money, you know, like expanding her, you know, I guess whatever, wealth, power, whatever, but like using her intel, you know, of the situation to, you know, just profit to the utmost extent possible. It's like, okay, I teleported out of here. Now I'm on the phone with this fucking, you know, shady stockbroker or whatever. Like, sell all your assets, sell all your stocks, pull out of Tokyo. Like, we got it. Like, I already sold all my shit. I already converted my fucking, you know, currency. Like, and the crazy thing about it is it's really only been 36 minutes. So like 10:02 is when they start down the hallway, or, you know, to fight the smallpox curse. And then at 10:36 in Malaysia's only an hour behind Tokyo.
Right.
It's not very far. So like they're at 11:36. In Tokyo, right? So 10:36, 11:36. It's exactly the same time. What Mei is doing in this conversation between Geto and Yuji is happening at the exact same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like literally within this 10:02 to I'm just gonna use that 10:36. I'm sorry. It's been an hour.
An hour and a half.
11:36. An hour and a half. Yeah. So within that time frame, though, she's already like dumped all investment in Tokyo. Like, as I assume she owns property too. Because it's like that's just what type of person you take her for. I mean, she's going to expand her portfolio in any way possible, and just use her position as a jujutsu sorcerer to keep profiting. So I don't know. I really, really, really love that, because this Mei wee shit is
a lot of people don't like this retreating situation, and it is definitely very like awkward, I want to say, because you're like, Mei was supposed to be helping people out, and now she bounced. But like, if she was there and she was fighting and then was like, I'm going to die, and then bounced, like, it's not the same thing as just not showing up for work, you know what I mean? So and people are going through this chapter. I've been seeing it on the timeline today. They're upset with Kusakabe's reasoning. They don't like what's going on with like Mei retreating with like Yui. Obviously, the brother and sister like relationship stuff is awkward too. But
super sketchy.
Like when it comes down to it, man, I don't know. Mei, from when she was introduced, we knew that she was like money motivated entirely. So going into what Kiko, and there have been theories that like villains were going to buy off Mei and she was going to switch sides because of money, and that would have been cool to explore or whatever. But as far as what Kiko was talking about how she instantly left the conflict, went to the situation, then like did a whole bunch of financial stuff, that makes a bunch of sense for her character to, as soon as shit hits the fan and as soon as she's in a comfortable position, check out her financial situation, put stocks where they need to go, take stocks away from like thing, it makes total sense that this would be a conversation that she would be having right now, immediately coming out of what she was going through. And when it comes down to it, man, I don't know, dude. It's like, I'm not mad at her for leaving. I wasn't mad at Kusakabe for trying to dick around instead of like,
me neither.
Run into the fight. You know what I mean? It's like Gege. I feel like the people who complain about these kind of things, one, aren't really paying attention to the series all that much, because moral ambiguity is like one of Jujutsu Kaisen's biggest themes. You know what I mean? If you are going to complain that Mei ran away or that Kusakabe doesn't want to fight, it's like, regardless of the reasons, Gege is just trying to write believable characters. You know what I mean? And I feel like people should put themselves in these situations more before criticizing, because it's like, what would you do? And is
everybody supposed to be Toto? Are they all supposed to be like gung ho to fight all the special grades all the time? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
You want everyone to have the exact same outlook and reasoning on things with different personalities. It's like, no, these are like,
go all the way back to the beginning. All the way back to the beginning with, say, Megumi and Yuji and Nobara going into that like delinquent juvenile detention place, right? And Yuji, of course, is like, we got to save these people. Like, that mom is crying out there, and Megumi's like, I'm not dying over these people, right? So from the very beginning, there have been hugely different motivations, hugely different, ethical, like, where's your line? You know what I mean? Where you're going to save someone, where you're going to, just abandon someone. So like, it's been this way the entire time. So no one should be surprised by this kind of behavior.
And it puts me in a real weird spot, because like, all of the financial stuff Mei's doing makes me love her, but now all of the like little brother incestuous fucking,
gross.
Like, and she's grooming him. It's like, I don't know. Like,
couple questions to throw out. What if Yui is not Mei's brother? Actually,
you
know what I mean? There's
that
question there.
And he's 20 years old.
Yeah, and he might not be a child or whatever. It's going to be awkward regardless. I always like hate when Eastern writers give these characters this dynamic. You know what I mean? I understand that probably has to do with some kind of like cultural or historical thing over in
I think it's to show that she's flawed, right? Like, it's to kind of hammer home her flaws, like even more so than just the monetary one. But
I feel like we see this a lot over in the East. So look at No Game No Life, look at Gauch inside of Black Clover, look at Lance and his his sister. There's varying degrees of intensity, but like it is a thing over
throw Lance under there yet. We're not ready to throw Lance in there, right? Quite. I mean, we got.
But that's the degrees of intensity, right? Like you have Lance, which is very benign, hopefully, you know what I mean, on that side,
chill,
and then all the way to Wee and Mei, like.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's be in bed all day. Blush, blush you. Oh my God. Like, it's like, ugh, gross.
Yeah.
This is the most gross probably I've felt.
And Mei Mei is butt ass naked, like, and fucking.
Bucket.
Yeah, and at least Yui's got a shirt on. I mean,
right.
It's just like you're looking for any consolation you can in this situation. You're just like, man, can I find a way to, especially because like it's like I liked Mei Mei. Like I love this character, even though I said right from the beginning, soon as Yui showed up and he's doing all this weird tingle, ooh, my sister, ooh, I was like, no, I don't like, no.
It's a lot weirder when the sister is older as opposed to like younger, because we see Gauche, you know what I mean, and like that's awkward right away. But I feel like there was a more intense reaction from Wee because there's so many more awkward things implied, like grooming, like you were saying, and like things like that, which is like,
well, because like he's about it, so he's been groomed, right? It's a groom successful, right? Like it's already, like that's not what's happening with Gauche and Marie, right? Marie's her name, whatever it is. But
I think it's
like
Gauche and Marie,
Gauche is just a weirdo, but Marie's not going along with it. At least we have that, but like, man, I just, it just puts you in like a really bad spot when I really liked Mei Mei's character. I wish we could just get rid of all that, but like, I don't know, maybe there's a way to like, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't really go into that. I'm thinking like, what does this mean for Mei Mei's character in the future? Like, is she out of the story? Has she just totally hit the fucking ejection button and abort mission? They're out of here. Or
that's a good question.
Is she going to be this, fucking third party gray area? I mean, obviously there's a lot of gray area within Jujutsu, but like, she's not on the curse side. She's not on Getu's side. She's not on. She's just on the side of money. I don't know. Does that leave a place for her in this story?
Another question, it's like, well, like if she's going to leave after a situation like this, you know what I mean? And she's going to leave the fight and go because she was going to die. It's like, what kind of confrontations do we see her in later? The only other kind I can see, like, unless they're going to just rinse repeat this situation where they give her a job where because the threats are only going to get stronger from here on out. You know what I mean? They're only going to be bigger deals. So if Mei Mei comes back for another mission, they're just going to rinse repeat this because she's going to run into another enemy that's too strong, then she's going to bounce. Like, what other kind of situations will we see Mei Mei in that don't feel redundant? And I probably see it as maybe an assassination attempt on her. You know what I mean? We have to see her go all out. Her and Yui have to go all out at some point later on in the series now that they've survived. You know what I mean? So it's like, when would we see that is my question, I guess.
The other big thing that this brings up to me is like, we're in Malaysia, we're in Kuala Lumpur.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so Okotsu, he's studying abroad, but besides him studying abroad and now Malaysia, I feel like this is like the first time we're leaving Japan, and I'm very hopeful that now we're going to start branching out into the rest of Asia, maybe just the rest of the world generally.
I think we are.
And this the Shibuya incident, as we've seen with this stuff with Mei Mei and selling all our stocks and stuff, like. This is going to greatly impact, as we've said before, not just Japan, but the entire world, right? Like this is a big event for a meteor to hit Shibuya, right? And it's obviously some sort of nefarious group, like they're probably going to call it a terrorist organization or something, right? Like
they call
we're going to get some big world building, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm ready for it. Here that says a negative chain reaction affecting major developed nations may be unavoidable. After all, Japan is the world's third largest economy. I leave the details to you. No, don't thank me, but keep it on the inside as usual, and I was like, man, like I'm seeing that, and it's like we're gonna, like, Gege is probably going to immediately coming out of this arc address like the two biggest areas of consequence that this arc gave us, and that's like public perception after a terrorist attack and what that means for the overall world and the characters involved, and of course like the financial aspect of how it affects the economy. I'm sure that had Kiko like, wait a minute now.
Once you see that it's coming in and just like Nick said, like once you see that there's going to be adverse effects globally to like global economies because of this, like that just, if we don't look at other economies, like why did we even say that, right? Like I just feel like we got to be going other places with this, and it would be cool if it could be global. We could go to the United States, like it's like but like just staying around like on the Eastern Hemisphere would be fine for me. Like all around, like it fits the lore, right? Like we don't really need to go to like Europe and America. Like I don't need all that.
But
like
at the same time, if you want to keep your story inside of a small area of the world, then just don't have gigantic threats that don't make sense for the rest of the world to like not get involved in. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell a story localized, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like with threats that are more than compelling enough to keep you reading, but like just don't, if you don't want to expand your world or don't know how to, then just don't do things that warrant that question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's why I was happy that it was Malaysia. You know, it's like not super far away. It doesn't make Yui so broken that he could just fucking go to the moon. Like he's not fucking.
Well, you want to know what I attributed it to, Kiko? Kiri from UQ Holder.
I
thought about Kiri from UQ
could be
Holder
something like that.
Has a save point, like because there's different kinds of immortality in UQ Holder, so it's fun to like see, you know, are you a vampire, are you a robot, you know what I mean? Like, how immortal are you, and what kind is it? Kiri's was really cool because she like has like a bonfire like sigil or whatever. She sets the save point and then she goes to the mission. If she dies, she comes right back to that save point. You know what I mean? So and with all of her memories intact. All of her memories intact, you know what I mean? So it could be a situation like that. And maybe now I'm thinking about it, it's like, okay, if that ability does exist inside of Jujutsu Kaisen, there's going to be a gang of setbacks, caveats, drawbacks, conditions. Even if it's just teleportation over a wide distance, like you just can't, that's too much to be free. You know what I mean? So maybe it could be a situation where every time Yui uses this ability, he gets younger. Or some shit, you know what I mean? It could be a situation like that, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm definitely not trying to justify the weirdness, because regardless of like how old Yui is, he still has the body of like a 9-year-old. So it's it's gonna be weird no matter what. But that would be fucking cool if there was like a really intense ability like that in Jujutsu.
But now that you mention it too, like maybe it's only possible, like that's the super condition on Yui's ability. Like for him to take somebody else with him, he has to have like a super intimate relationship with them. Yeah, binding vow, like intimate relationship with them, something real weird. And it's like
I don't even know. I don't know. Vow fits there, but I don't know.
I mean, it can. No, I mean that there would be some kind of binding vow. I would feel like
some kind of restriction that you can place on things that Jujutsu sorcerers have control over.
But
we get more another look at Choso and the after effects of Yuji's ability.
Love that.
Dude, this is an amazing couple of pages here, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just like for it. Yeah.
He's shook in this corner, bro.
Yeah. And it's good to see another perspective of someone who's not like Todo, right? So Todo, Yuji uses his ability, you know, this is all assumptions, right? But like presumably, right? Like Todo gets the ability activated on him, and now Todo's like, he's stoked. He's like, I have a best friend. Like I love Yuji, my brother. You know what I mean? Yeah. Here's like the other side of the coin of like, Choso is like deeply concerned, confused. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is really jarring and confusing. Like, what am I? What is Yuji? You know what I mean? Like, it's good to see like how other characters would approach this memory, you know, manipulation situation.
Right.
Yeah, and you take Choso's question, what am I? Like, and that's basically what is a cursed womb, right? Like what and let's dive a little deeper into this at some point, which obviously we will.
Death painting.
What's
like,
that?
Death people, he's a death painting specifically, because we've seen cursed wombs that like aren't like Choso.
Oh, sure.
He's specific. I just wanted to throw that out there for the audience.
Yeah. And then like what is Yuji, right? Like when you look at it, you could just say, you know, you could just take that as figuratively, like how can he do something like what is his ability or some shit? But it's like, what is he? It's like, do they have some kind of like weird connection? Like, is Yuji some kind of like human death painting hybrid? I don't know, some kind of new future. Like when you don't have any of this history on Yuji whatsoever, other than a grandfather, which it's like grandfather, it's like who in the hell knows if that's even fucking your biological grandfather? Now you're 2 steps away, which is, you know, you can already say that about regular parent, you know, your parents to begin with, right? Without, you know, much background on it. So it's like when you have something like that, it's just like opens those questions up. So, you know, I obviously have been the one, you know, a lot of the time saying there's a lot to do with Yuji's background that I mean, and that's not like anything groundbreaking. That's just, you know, shonen in general, right? Like if you're going to have all this mystery around your MC like this, like
especially in the parental area. You know what I mean? If we don't know who the MC's parents are by chapter 100, they're important. They're special.
And it's not like Naruto where it's like, oh, we're going to act like we don't know your parents, but we got a picture of the 4th Hokage on our wall right behind her. And it's like, hey, man, it looks like this little kid who's running around yelling all the time. Like,
this hairline, I don't know, man.
Yeah, you know. But like, exactly, it's like we have no information on it. So it's like
going back to what you were saying about like him questioning, like, what am I? What is Yuji? And maybe you were kind of like going into the possibility that Yuji could be, you know, a similar kind of being, or maybe Choso is thinking that Yuji is a similar kind of being to him.
Yeah.
Because it's like Choso clearly has Yuji here in his memories with his family. Yep. Right. So naturally he'd probably go like, what are you? Are you a death painting as well? Otherwise, why would we be here chilling?
Yes, exactly.
And why would we? So I understand that, but also Choso isn't like, I don't want to say that he's entirely taken over by this ability. Otherwise he would just be best friends with Yuji. So there's obviously a conflict here. So I think that this scene is him going, okay, I know these memories aren't real. I know that this is wrong, but I'm still under the effects of the technique, so I'm like conflicted. You know what I mean? But he can tell that this is not the way it's supposed to be, even though he can't just outright ignore it. You know what I mean?
So I mean, imagine if you did get a memory inserted into your psyche, right? Like you would look at like I don't know, your lunchbox and be like, oh yeah, like yesterday, you know, my wife hit me with that lunchbox, right? It never happened, right? Like, but you would think it, like it would be in your memories. It would be as if it happened to you, right?
But you would have also to be remember that a moment ago you didn't have those memories. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So it'd be super jarring. You know what I mean? Like, and so I could imagine him being like, he's not going to immediately go and fight Yuji, right? Like there's a doubt there. You doubt yourself because if you can't trust your memories, what can you even trust?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's got to be so crazy for him. And as far as the future of his character goes, now that I think about it, it's like Choso is a brand new person. He's only been alive for like a year or two or whatever. I don't even know what the timeline is. But like, as far as his motivations go, yes, Yuji and Nobara killed his brothers. So like his whole thing was like revenge on Yuji and Nobara. Other than that, he's really just been rolling with the curses because they were just around. You know what I mean? So he doesn't really have an issue with humanity. Yes, he's a curse. So he probably has a thirst or a hunger to kill humans, you know, to some degree. But now that he's like got this memory manipulation shit, and the motherfucker who he wants to kill, or his entire motivation as a character so far, is now like, he's kind of on the fence about that. So in the future, we could potentially see an ally inside of Choso. And I think that if it does go that way, I definitely want to say I don't want it to. But if it did go that way, I feel like it would feel better than like other villain becoming, you know, a good guy in like other stories that like we didn't like. It wouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? I feel like Gege would write the shit out of that. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, man, it's like Choso don't got beef with nobody. You know what I'm saying? Except for Yuji, who's now his homie. You know what I mean? So it's like, what could we really see from the future of his character? I don't know, but definitely not like hardcore villain, like antagonist, like out for blood.
No, because you can't even really see a Yuji versus Choso part 2, right? Like you can't you can't see that, right? So like it just doesn't make sense for him to be, you know. I mean, he could also be some kind of third party that just doesn't go with you know, the humans at all, and kind of, I don't know, does his own thing. Maybe does want to, you know, still get revenge on Yuji and Nobara, but I don't know, find some other motivation along the way. You know,
it would be awkward if he was
manipulating him somehow, or
oh my bad. I was it would be,
no, that's it. That was it.
Yeah, it would be awkward if he teamed up with them. Obviously, that would be the most jarring experience possible, I feel like. But then I also, like you were saying, Kiko can't imagine a Choso versus Yuji part 2. So what makes sense is that he would be like a third party dude chilling there that like, because of his own entirely separate motivations that don't have anything to do with anyone else. That the actions that he does will either help the protagonist indirectly, you know, or go against the protagonist indirectly. You know what I mean? He's not going to come back and be like, Yuji, I want you again. And he's not going to come back and be like, Yuji, let's go beat him up. You know what I mean? But he could just be a guy who's there that interferes or helps on accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
So after the Ghetto, or sorry, after the Choso stuff, we go to Ghetto, Yuji Ghetto, and this scene, I just was blown away by this scene, and obviously the culmination at the end of the chapter, I did not see coming. I was completely blown away. Wow.
Yeah. Before, I mean, we talk about the big stuff, just like Yuji getting hit with these abilities, and then he's on the ground, like on all fours. You see the one eye, and then the next panel. It's just his determination's like chilling here, man. Just give him back. Like I need my teacher back. Like I'm about to die fighting for him. Like you know, like that's. But Ghetto is gonna be like, well, let's talk about some things real quick. You know,
and this page, page 16, this panel of Yuji, like all fucked up. It's totally a reference to Ichigo versus Byakuya. When coming out of the Senbon Zakura Kageyoshi, like tries to like Getsu get Tensho and gets like literally blendered by the Senbon Zakura, and he's laying in this exact position. Like,
really?
Shad's posted it on Twitter, and I was like,
nice.
Yeah,
I was like, oh shit,
that's cool. That's definitely cool. I mean, because it's like
well, you have the Hunter references that are so hard to miss. You know what I mean? So it's like, you forget that Kubo Tite also inspired this story. Well, that's his references are a lot more subtle, I feel like.
And I get the similarities between Jujutsu Kaisen and Bleach, but it's just like I don't think of them, right? Even though I know they're there, and I get that I don't think of it, even though it's like I know exactly what scene you're talking about. I've seen it many times. I never thought that at all. You know,
and I didn't notice it either. I had to see it on the timeline. You know what I mean? The Kubo references definitely don't hold a candle to the Togashi references, in my opinion. Like Jijankin, very obvious. You know what I mean? Like here, there's heavy Togashi inspiration inside of character designs in general throughout Jujutsu Kaisen, but like besides this panel right here, which had to be pointed out to me on Twitter, and the fact that Yaga's curse dolls are clearly inspired by Cone from Bleach, you know what I mean? Like besides that, I don't really see too much Kubo in Jujutsu Kaisen all that often, but we see hella Togashi all over the place, and that's not even to take away anything from Kubo. It's just
I would say maybe the way black is used in the manga is similar to, you know, like Kubo and Gege both, like they really can splash the black on a page and they want to, right? Like it's almost like they just hit it with the black ink, just like splash how it splashes, right? So I'll say I'm a smidge confused here. So is Mahito trying to transfigure Geto here and misses?
No.
Okay.
I thought so.
I think he's just running away
towards Geto
through like I mean,
he has swish like he's dodging it.
Yeah, he dodged the hand. The hand is the close up of the hand is clearly like idle transfiguration, in my opinion. He's trying to take
that
because he can feel the malice coming from Geto. When he said Geto in the last chapter, and Geto was like, "Should I save you, Mahito?" I bet you right in that moment, Mahito realized exactly what Geto was here to do.
Damn.
Yeah,
okay.
I bet you he put it together right in that moment. Like, I'm wounded. I'm about to die. If he wants to take me over using his curse technique, I'm below the execute threshold. You know what I'm saying? Like, you will get me in your Pokeball at this point. You know what I mean? I bet Mahito's like, shit. Like, I got to get him right now. You know what I mean? And he goes to try, and he said, nope, sidestep. Knew you'd do that. I was like, oh no.
I like the picture you paint here too, like the execute threshold or the fucking Pokeball, because like that's what I thought about this whole time. I'm like, so when we see this, it's just like it shows the potential that Geto really had, right? Because we always talk about the Geto versus Gojo, how they were the top two, and then Geto slowly realizes Gojo's so much higher than him. And obviously, I don't say that that's really that different, but it's like if Geto has stockpiled all these, if he has fucking Jogo, Hanami, fucking Mahito, you know, he's got them all in his back pocket to throw out everywhere, and he's controlling them. It's like the potential of Geto really seemed very, very high, and it seems like
he couldn't have Hanami because Hanami literally got evaporated.
No. I'm not saying right now. I'm saying Geto was alive, right? If he were able to have found Jogo, Hanami, Dagon, Mahito, if he was able to find them and lower their execute threshold just by 1v1ing them into capturing him themselves, it's like, man, Geto really has some wild, and obviously we always know that because, he's one of the only 4 supreme grade sorcerers that have ever been, right? Or maybe at least that we're in that time. Not ever been, but in that time. And so, like, he's one of the 4 strongest sorcerers in the world. He's already deemed that when they're young, they're like 20, you know? And so, and he, you know, and then in the, it's a year ago within the story, you know, the Utah, you know, the prequel story, it's like he's bringing out big boy curses, you know, like, and he's dumping out, you know, everything he's got everywhere. So it's just like, man, like you just knew, like if he would have just like corralled himself a little bit and maybe bought a little bit more time, maybe he would have got to a point where he would have had a better chance against Gojo. And like, I know that's not, you know, it's just like my own fantasy world of thinking of their matchup, but it's just like, man, it just really made me think of that. Cause like this whole time, I didn't really think that Mahito or any of these supreme, special grade curses were going to get just swirled up into his little ball, and he's holding it like, all right.
I never considered it.
Yeah,
never considered
it.
And
it makes so much sense that he's like the king in the background. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously,
and this is why Brain-kun wanted him. Right?
Yes, you know what I mean. Like, and we could tell that even though, like, in their initial characterizations in the series, like when we're first meeting Mahito, Jogo, and Geto, we could tell that he had like that knocked from Black Clover, kind of attitude, about him, or that air about him. You know what I mean? Like that we've been talking about in the Black Clover reviews lately about how you can't really tell exactly what's going on with him because he's always got a soft expression on his face. Like everything is cool regardless of what's going on. Like he's already thought of it. You know what I mean? So like we've known that that's been going on, but it's so crazy how Gege, even though they've given us this character inside of Geto the whole time, it was still surprising up until like this chapter or maybe the chapter before, you know what I mean, that it would happen this way, that he's waiting for his chance to absorb Mahito because he knows that under regular circumstances Mahito is too strong to turn into a curse that he can manipulate. So he has to wait until he gets beaten up enough, which I don't think that he could do. You know what I mean? And obviously I don't even think it
wasn't even worth the risk.
Yeah,
maybe he thinks he could do it, but it's he's got a plan to get it done for him. Why does he have to dirty his own hands?
And there's so much value that you can get out of Mahito as a brand new being in general that is siding with you. You are watching him grow while you have this like relationship. You're probably not going to get a whole bunch of pushback from an adolescent. You know what I mean? Like Mahito's obviously getting smarter and stronger every day. So Geto probably knew that he couldn't keep, Mahito on a leash for that long. So they set up the October 31st date to seal Gojo, you know what I mean? So that he can make sure that Mahito doesn't grow too much before he wants to get him. He wants to harvest them like at the right moment, which we can assume is like right here. You know what I mean?
And another point in terms of the right moment to harvest, right? So a big question I have, given that Mahito is now in the Pokeball, right?
Yeah.
Now let's say the next time Geto, Brain-kun, whoever, right, summons Mahito, is Mahito going to have his personality? Is he going to have like his own will? And it's just like, I release you, go fuck this guy up. And if you are a good boy, maybe I'll let you stay out for a while, like Pikachu or whatever. But you're going to go back to the Pokeball eventually. But if he doesn't have his personality, Mahito, Geto probably wanted Mahito to have that curiosity, that childlike personality, to grow, to evolve, to get to this point where I, quote unquote, know who I'm supposed to be now, right? I fully evolved. Maybe Geto can't evolve a Pikachu and a Raichu, right? He has to wait for Raichu to come out by himself and then capture the Raichu.
I love it because now he's got Black Flash. Now he's transformed into this. It's like, He wanted to, he was cultivating Mahito to this harvest point. And that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
But also, here's another thing. Geto has to eat this ball now that he's put Mahito in it. That's how he completes the ritual. You know what I mean? So someone could pull up right now, smack that shit out of his hand, grab Mahito and bounce. You know what I'm saying? Maybe another curse manipulator. We have yet to see another I was gonna say Uda Ume, and I also think that Yuki might also be a curse manipulator as well, because when we saw her in the flashback for Toto, when she pulls up in like the biker jacket and she's got that Shikigami, encircled around her, and it's got like, it looked to me anyway that it had something coming out of its mouth, like it was holding something for Yuki to like take out and like use as a weapon. It looked like garden shears, or some shit was coming out of its mouth. I don't know, but there was speculation that Yuki could also be a curse manipulator. I think I subscribe to that idea as well, and I think it would be super cool, since Toto is here, if Yuki pulls up in the very clutch at the very end, just so that we can get all the characters on the board that we've seen already for the most part inside of the Shibuya incident. And what if she takes Mahito and now Mahito's a Pokemon on the protagonist side? You know what I mean? Like, that would be fucking wild.
That probably isn't going to happen. But
probably not, because we want Geto. We want Geto's plan. We want to see him become a fully realized villain now that Mahito is kind of like stepped down, so to speak, in this situation. So we want to see what Geto can do. So having his plans foiled at the peak of his introduction as a villain to the main, story, like in a serious way, I think would be kind of awkward. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I do have a question for y'all. So on this page 16 with Yuji all beaten up like Bleach, like we were saying before, right? So on the top panel, Geto Brain-kun is talking last year during the night parade of 100 demons. If the forces hadn't been divided between Shinjuku and Kyoto, he would have won instead of Okotsu.
He's talking about Geto.
That's just
so
Geto.
About Geto.
Yeah, Brain-kun is talking about Geto before he took.
I wouldn't even have had this chance to ever get this far if he didn't fuck up by splitting his forces between the two places. Yeah.
Because in the prequel, he did a 2-pronged attack.
Yep.
Yeah, so he was at Kyoto school and Tokyo school simultaneously.
And that's when Todo exercised all the first grades with no technique, and he only needed his curse technique against the special grade because he was like sitting on the pile of curses. That was tight as hell.
So sick.
Thanks for that reminder.
That
I was trying to like
pin first too for like a minute, and then I was like, no, this is what he's talking about.
Is right now, like at Shibuya, is tonight the night parade of 100 demons, or is that like a yearly thing, or is that just that one?
That's last year.
That was last year. That's the Volume 0 plot line.
And that's parade of 100 demons. And the reason it's called that is because Geto basically emptied the coffers of curses, right? Like everything he had. I've compiled curses for the last 10 years, he said, or so. I've been compiling curses for a long fucking time to this day.
Gotcha.
So
yes, sir.
Pretty sick, but I've been thinking about Uraume a lot in this situation because it's like
you've been saying that they're going to pull up to this. You've been saying that they're the one that's going to interfere in this conflict.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking Mahito. That's kind of a good couple of weeks ago because like I thought that was going to.
You thought it was going to be for Mahito, not Geto.
For Mahito. Not for Geto, but like. Now that we know that Uraume is loyal to Sukuna, like, I don't know, and Uraume's definitely playing both sides, right? Like, because he's cool with Geto as well. I mean, Uraume was in the fucking in the domain, Dagon's domain, way back when they opened the door, right? So it's like, Uraume got a lot of fire, irons in the fire, right? So
Uraume pulls up. We find out they're a curse manipulator. They take Mahito. Or whatever, the fight with Sukuna later, you know what I mean? And imagine a final confrontation against Sukuna and he's got Mahito, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Like,
Uraume though, like, it's just like we know they're loyal to Sukuna, so like I don't know, like it would depend on like what is Getu's intentions with Yuji right now, right? Like because if he was just really trying to actually like take Yuji out, because Getu only wanted Yuji to activate to get Gojo sealed, right? Like those were the two, like the condition for another condition. Like we need this to happen so we can seal Gojo, or I felt like that's how that went. But regardless, like I feel like if Getu wants to kill Yuji here, Uraume's gotta interfere because Sukuna is still Yuji, there's still and Sukuna said that Uraume like, hey, once I'm done with all this, like you do your thing and we'll meet up whenever I'm out next, basically. So I've been thinking about it a lot. I don't know how it's gonna work, but
like going back to Geto, are we thinking that Brain-kun is the being that would be against Sukuna in this conflict? Geto would want to kill Yuji because Brain-kun doesn't like Sukuna because Brain-kun is that one Kamo what was
Noritoshi.
I'm starting to think that Getu wants Sukuna as like a curse to manipulate eventually, like
that'd be so wild.
End game plot for Getu feels a lot to me right now that he wants Sukuna. You know what I mean? Because if he has like if it's Sukuna and Gojo, you know what I mean, are the two. One on the human side, one on the curse side. They're basically equal, or at least in the same echelon, far away from everyone else. Gojo is now sealed. Sukuna is my Pokemon.
Yeah.
Literally nothing can stop me now.
Well, especially if you think about like what I'm talking, like what Choso's saying, like what are you, Yuji? Like, so even if Sukuna fully takes over, like, I mean, obviously Yuji's ingesting the fingers and has some special ability that allows him to do so, which being some kind of curse womb, fucking death painting hybrid human, whatever, like that could fit there. Yeah. And the fact that like, if Sukuna takes over the body, does it become a curse, or is it still just like like a host parasite relationship, and it's still technically an organic human body, right? Like those are questions, like, because if somebody was gonna, if Brain-kun wants to manipulate Sukuna, like maybe that's not possible if he's still like connected to Yuji, right? Like if he's still using Yuji's body as a host.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. It's a lot to think about.
That is a very intense question, because it's like, because I was thinking about it before, like, okay, what does Sukuna taking over Yuji's body really look like? Because if it is a situation where, you know, it's the same situation, but just Sukuna is primarily in control of the body, 90% of the time, like Yuji is now, then like Sukuna has that body forever, because what would ever be the situation where Yuji would come out? You know what I mean? When would that ever have to happen? Unless Yuji's will, you know what I mean?
Yuji like, beats Sukuna in a 1v1 in Getsuga space, right?
In the innate domain. But I still feel like it comes down to an agreement that they make with each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. I still feel like regardless of power, regardless of who beats you in the innate domain, I mean, it's Yuji's body first, so I mean, I feel like he gets it, but I think that because he died and then went to the innate domain, the bargaining was there and the haggling was available. But ultimately, I feel like that's Yuji's body to do with what he wants, and Sukuna is secondary. If those roles are switched, then Yuji has no chance to come back out or to take back over. I feel like if the souls like legitimately switch places inside of the body, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Ooh. Yeah.
Crazy to think
it's
about,
man.
It's a lot to think
about. Yeah.
But are you guys good? I think
Definitely.
I'm good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, great discussion on Jujutsu Kaisen this week for the first episode of season 3. Fuck yeah, guys. Okay, getting into our very first conversation about Dr. Stone on this show. So the way that I feel like we should do it tonight is I feel like that we should have just a comprehensive conversation about our feelings about Dr. Stone, what we think about it inside of the current Shonen Jump landscape, why we think that it's, a good idea to replace Chainsaw Man with Dr. Stone, things like that. And then we can get into the reviews, next week, starting with chapter 180, I think is what will be in the next issue. So, but yeah, you guys, Dr. Stone, I'm super excited to be covering this. I feel like it's super different, as far as like everything else that we're reviewing alongside of it. Obviously, it's a very different series in general. Right. Which I feel like was, a good reason to replace Chainsaw Man with it, because we definitely don't want another like traditional like feeling, shonen to replace such a different one. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like different for different was good there.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, how do you replace something like Chainsaw Man? You can't, right? Like, at the end of the day, you can't replace anything with something similar. So let's take something that's outside the box, similar to Chainsaw Man. Obviously they don't feel like the same story even close, but it does feel like the same theme of some new, innovative, inventive shit in this slot. So Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
I remember back first reading Dr. Stone, right? And like I remember when I first encountered it, I was like, oh yeah, cool, new series. And this is back when I was a little more picky about starting new series. Yeah. And I was like, the first page, like, everyone turns to stone or whatever. I'm like, drop.
Yeah. Really?
I immediately dropped it like after one page. I was just like, not feeling it. Bad mistake, right? So then later, after like a couple dozen chapters are out or whatever, I'm like, well, let's just try it out, right? And then it's like, oh, damn, okay, here we are. Like,
I was the exact opposite situation. I read the first chapter, and I was like, this is amazing. This is one of the coolest ideas that I've seen for a shonen manga, like ever. I need to tell all my friends about this. And I went to Eagle. I was like, read Dr. Stone. I can't remember who I told, but I was like shouting it from the rooftops. And then I just never went back after chapter 1. I have no idea why.
I remember that vividly. I remember that vividly because Eagle was always the Dr. Stone guy, right? And it's like around chapter 8 or 9, like after, I'm pretty sure you read that first chapter as soon as it came out and you ranted and raving about it. I was like, okay, bet. I'll go peep it, right? And like, I didn't right away, but around 8 or 9, Eagle's like, this is the new shit right here. Like, he's going crazy every week about it. So I'm like, okay, fine. I gave it the shot, and I got caught up right then too. And you know, I always really, really loved the story. You know, like, I don't know why I really ever fell behind. I mean, I felt like just because we started the show and like, I don't know, there was just a lot of things that I like really kind of wanted to hard focus on that I just kind of let that
seat to the show as far as like what I was reading to you back then. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. So like that like around, you know, somewhere in the petrification arc, I remember like Ibarra stabbing like Ginro or Kinro. I don't remember. Is it Ginro? I don't. Whatever.
Ginro is the silver. Blonde one.
So that's Kinro, right? Kinro is silver.
Kinro is the silver one.
So whatever. When he got stabbed with the claw, you know, Ibarra clawed him, right? Like that. I remember that being like the last like big like, I don't know, cliffhanger type thing. Yeah. And then after it, you know, it's like, okay, they got petrified. And then I was just like, oh, man, I got all this other stuff to focus on. Like, I'll get back to this, right? Like, I you know, I just remember those like being like the big hype parts, but then they got petrified. And I was just like, man, I thought Kohaku was going to activate and beat all their ass too. Like, you know, and it was cool that Mose whatever was stronger than Kohaku. Like it was cool that happened that way. But I just remember at that time is when I kind of fell back a little bit to focus on what we were doing on the show. Yeah. But Dr. Stone is a great story. Like obviously it's very, very educational. You know, all the science is like, from what I've seen, obviously I'm not a fucking, you know, smart enough guy to say whether or not all this science is accurate, right? But I've looked a lot into it. Like the science is accurate, like in theory, right? Some of the practices
they got a physicist on chill, you know what I'm saying? Like signed off by whoever, you know what I mean?
Science advisor,
exactly. But it's like the processes and the methods, like having Kaseki like do it's like some of the crafting is where it's exaggerated and it's just like very, very, very super improbable. Like the methods are like exaggerated and like the like inaccuracies and inefficiencies that they would have, like making this shit would really weigh on them. But then again, at the same time, Senku's guidance is like kind of what gets him past that. And like something that would take 10,000 tries now takes 5 tries because Senku's advising. So like that's his like superpower, which makes it really fucking cool, right? Like that is his shonen power, is that, okay, obviously I have all this fucking science and I know how the shit works. Crafting it and putting it into practice is a different story. I need to gather all these special people that can help me do that. And you know, obviously they're super fucking wildly crazy skilled for it doesn't, you know, like something you probably would never find unless you're a shonen MC, right?
Right. Going into what you were saying about how like his intellect is like his shonen superpower, I think we were talking about it in the Big Brains tie-in episode that we did about like just how cool it is that like we have this shonen story where normally the shonen main character, you know, is someone who has a whole bunch of heart and a whole bunch of ambition, but they're really weak, and you see them grow into that ambition physically over time. You know what I mean? But Senku is already like pretty much fully realized as far as his capabilities go, and the story is meant to show us how deep his bag is. You know what I mean? We keep seeing more and more of what Senku is capable of because threats are increasing and situations bring more of his intellect out. So it's cool to get that kind of progression inside of Senku's, you know, character, because it's kind of like Seven Deadly Sins, where the characters already started out monstrously strong, and we know that they're gods, and we're just seeing, you know, small amounts of that power incrementally over time. You know what I mean? So
for sure,
I love that dynamic inside of Dr. Stone. Personally, I think that that's the best way you handle you know, a story. Like, imagine Senku, but like he's kind of smart enough, you know, to be a big deal in that time, but then like he gets smarter over time until he's like at a point, you know, like, you know, like it would just feel weird as shit.
It would be very weird. The science and the engineering is just been so fun the entire time, and I think I did like the story more at the beginning when it was more engineering and more science, you know, heavy with all these like very explicit diagrams of we're going to first make this and then this and this, all the lines. But even nowadays, you still get like a good amount of the science and a good amount of the engineering. And so I think it's a good amount. It's peppered in well. The characters phenomenal. All the characters like super unique.
Yeah.
Great motivations for everyone. It's super high quality all around, right? The art, obviously, Boichi's art just slaps every week. Yeah. And the plot is just so engaging, right? It's like Chainsaw Man in the sense that like it's very unique, it's very unorthodox. You can't really predict it so much, right? Like how could you possibly, unless you're some sort of science genius, like assuming what they're gonna do? Like I don't think anyone really called that we're gonna build a spaceship, right? And even if you did call that you're gonna build a spaceship, I don't know how to build a spaceship. I don't know what it takes to build a spaceship, right? So, but the writing is just so well done that it's very engaging, mysterious, week to week, and I
think what does it for me is the fact that it's so rooted in reality. Like we know that this physics is accurate, so like we want to see it be applied in ways that we can't fathom, but that we know is not science fiction. You know what I mean? Like science is very deep. You know what I mean? And if you're not a physicist, you don't know anywhere close to the half of it. You know what I mean? So seeing a character that knows so much more about the physical world than we do, and they're showing us that in a way, well, it's like I could easily, instead of reading Dr. Stone, just turn on a Neil deGrasse Tyson documentary, but it gives us that fantastical fictional element, obviously, while still being rooted enough in reality to keep us there, despite it being about boring ass science, you know, or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think it's cool that it brought that interest in that curiosity for science out of a lot of people who thought that they would never care about a story like that inside of this genre. So I think it's important for that.
With science fiction stories, you know, it's so much pseudoscience, right? Like obviously there's things that make sense, but like it's so much pseudoscience that's, you know, not really real. And like, yes, that this is rooted in reality. You know, get warnings. Hey, kids, don't try this shit at home. You probably got the shit under your sink or whatever. Don't do it.
And I think that's like, you know, it's the pseudoscience is fine in a story like Dr. Stone, which you think that it wouldn't be because it's supposed to be so accurate, but it's so
still
accurate
fine,
in all of the ways that are like bare minimum for entertainment, right? Like it could go super boring accurate if it wanted to, but it's just accurate enough in a way that keeps you reading, and then they use the pseudoscience to kind of like fill in those gaps that would be boring. It's like, okay, we've already done the boring stuff, so to speak, like off screen, so now we can blaze through this next invention because we've already built like 4 things that use these parts in a slow and boring way. So
and what I'm saying and what I'm saying too is there's the least amount of pseudoscience in Dr. Stone of any science fiction story there is, right? Because it's so, you know, everything is so, you know, accurate and true. Like this it's meant this way, right? Like obviously science fiction stories are meant to have pseudoscience in them. Like that's
the fiction part.
Exactly right. Like you can't have Star Wars, right? Like you can't have like some whatever Samurai 8 if we're looking at manga or you know, whatever. Like you have to, you know, add this extra fantastical element to the science where Dr. Stone doesn't need that. It uses real science and still adds like the isekai adventure part. That's the fantastical part, right? Like so.
The fantastical part is also like how like, you know what I mean? Like they cut corners, they skip things that you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like the pseudoscience comes in to move the story along at a quicker pace because we've already got so much real science there. So like it's sound as far as like logic and reasoning goes in your face. And then now we need to move the story along in a quicker way. So let's use this pseudoscience to make this process take less time than it really should. You know what I mean? Like things like that.
And the cast of characters supporting Senku, right? So you have like Tsukasa, like the world's strongest primate, and Hyoga, and you know, the Ukyo, what is his name? Like the guy who hears really Ukyo, well and is the archer, right? Guy, like Gen as a mentalist, everything like that.
Gen is my favorite character.
He's so great. But you have all these characters front to back. You have all these characters that in their own way, they're superhuman, right? Like not unbelievably superhuman. Like Gen is just tricking people with the same ass tricks that like, you know, a Miss Cleo can do or whatever, or don't sue me or whatever, I guess. I mean, like, you know, like but charlatan-esque, you know, manipulation of emotions and manipulation of facial expressions and that sort of stuff. Like
so well because
it's so
he's
perfect.
A new person in an old world, so he can take he can take those like oldest trick in the book tactics that don't work in our time and go crazy in the stone world with it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, and it's even so much more effective in the stone world because the shit he's doing works in the real world too. Like I remember the one time, like at the negotiating table with Mose, he's like, we're gonna sit together at the bar. We're sitting as equals. So like when I'm talking to you, I don't feel like I'm selling you anything. Like when I sit across from you from the table, we're clearly in a negotiation. This gives you a sense of comfortability because we're just working as equals. This is a casual thing. We're just having a good time. We're sitting at the bar next to each other, having our drinks, talking as equals, and not this, like shit like that.
Intimidation factor. Like we're looking in each other's eyes, having poker faces on, and shit like that.
Whenever Gen's on the screen, though, I'm hyped to try to learn something to, get my manipulation game up. So I know Anoxi's playing games and stuff. So I gotta know Anoxi's playing games. Gotta know.
I could very easily slip underneath that, under your nose. You know what I'm saying?
And there's also in Dr. Stone like incredibly powerful and emotional moments. I think my favorite, one of the biggest moments for me in the entire story was the flashback to Senku's quote unquote father, right? And he's collecting the platinum grains of platinum from the river and over his entire life, like after the International Space Station, like folks come back to Earth after everyone's petrified, and they make a little society, right? And the Byakuya or whatever his name is, right? Like he literally spent his entire life gathering platinum because he knew it would be very useful for science as a catalyst in reactions, and like that was so powerful, right? They had this this little tiny vial of platinum. It's like that would have taken an entire lifetime to gather. Right. And when that chapter happened, I was like, Jesus Christ! I'm almost crying over here.
I got goosebumps
so emotional.
Just thinking about it. And I think what does it for me in like the powerful moments on the emotional side of things is that because of how ignorant we are to like physics compared to the author, and especially with help from their physicists that they have on call. Like when these threats come, you know what I mean? We're like, holy shit, how are they going to deal with that? Like, I know Senku is crazy, but like, how are they going to deal with that? We have no idea. That uncertainty is so intense that you're like, yes, compelling as shit because it's a mystery. I have no idea what's going on. And because that seems so like out of the realm of possibility as far as like what we can think to deal with that. But then Senku is always so confident about what the next move is going to be. I know exactly what we need to do here. And the scene always builds up to everyone going, we have no idea what we're going to do. We don't have the resources to do what we need to do. Everyone has anxiety. And then Senku's like, nah, G, get excited. We're going to build a fucking motorcycle, or whatever the fuck he says. It's always like, oh, of course, yes, that's the thing you need to build for this. I wouldn't have known because I'm not a scientist. But then he just completely eliminates that uncertainty and replaces it with confidence. And it just like is such a huge hype driver in those moments. So I feel like that's what really does it for me on the powerful moment side of things. You know what I mean?
It's the same kind of thing where Senku's saying like, don't worry, we got this. We got science. We're going to do X. It's the same thing as like Luffy going like, don't worry, I got this. I'm going to go beat the shit out of that guy. Right? Like it's the same vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure, man. Wow. Who's you guys' favorite character?
Chrome.
Oh, that's such a good choice.
Yeah, Chrome is good.
Chrome was my favorite.
Super quick. You were right away with that. I'm a Ryusui and his butler. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, what's his butler's name? I can't even remember, but
I don't remember her name.
I can't remember her name, but yes, love them together. Love them together. I love how Ryusui. So I love how you see, like, so in most shonens you have shonen main character. Obviously feels a lot like Ryusui. Then you have like the you usually see it a lot more in secondary main characters. They have that like other even more secondary, like to them specifically that offhand character. I love like those dynamics, especially when you have like meathead, like very Ryusui is very proficient at what he does, very confident in the area that he specializes in, but he's like rootin' tootin', you know what I mean? So like having another character kind of like be the antithesis to them as far as personality goes, and his butler is very astute and very calm, collected, reasonable, always like has everything planned, calculated, brooding, and then Ryusui is just like onward march on the boat towards the destination, you know what I mean? So I love seeing them interact together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Both those picks, Chrome, Ryusui, definitely my like top 5 characters. Probably for me, Tsukasa. Like the initial conflict, right? Where Senku's like, I want to revive everyone who's petrified. I want to save every single person on this planet. And Tsukasa being like, but if you do that, all the rich assholes are going to be like, well, I used to own this part of Japan. I used to own that part of Japan. Like, I own this island. I own that island. Where's my money? Where's my power? Right. And he that was very compelling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And he's just drawn so well, and all of his fights are so sick. And now that he's like fully on the good team, like, and shifting that dynamic and having be like a rival with Senku, but also like a best buzz with Senku, just the entire writing of his character throughout the entire story has been absolutely incredible.
Yes.
Totally behind him. Just love it.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Hell yeah.
Francois.
Yes.
It was driving me crazy. I was like, wait a minute, I have the internet.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so Shishio, Tsukasa, Chrome, Ryusui.
Yeah.
3. Before Ryusui, it was Kohaku for me. Kohaku was my favorite before
another
Ryusui came out.
character.
Yes.
I love Kohaku because she was introduced as someone who's obviously, it's always cool when you see, especially for me, petite women that are really strong physically. You know what I mean? I love seeing it in male characters too, like when a really small kid is like super strong, low key. You know what I mean? Like I love that, but I feel like it hits harder when, you know, like a slim, petite, you know, female warrior is involved.
Right.
And I love my noise, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Kohaku was just like so cool. But I always hate when, because I feel like a lot of authors want to wow you with a badass female character, but then like have the intro really planned out perfect, but then don't really know how to handle them throughout the rest of the series, and they kind of like fall out. Like Nico Robin comes to mind just because of like how strong she was when she was introduced, and how she's kind of been relegated to like a background character for the most part inside of One Piece. But like Kohaku was not introduced overwhelmingly strong and then nerfed and dumbed down because the author doesn't know how to continue writing badass female characters. She was brought in at a great level and has maintained that consistency throughout the entire story. You know what I mean? So I have I'm of course, making her stronger would of course be better in my opinion, but at least you didn't go, here's Kohaku, holy shit, now here's Kohaku the accountant or whatever the fuck you regulate her to on the fucking boat. You know what I mean? But yeah. Before Ryusui, it was Kohaku all day.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, Dr. Stone, bro. I can't wait to start reviewing this shit next fucking issue, man. I think hit
us up in the comments with like what are your thoughts on Dr. Stone? Like, are you excited for Dr. Stone as being on the roster or whatever? Like, Yeah.
Oh yeah. Last thing I want to say, super excited to obviously get into the reviews next episode, but also I love where we're at in the current story of Dr. Stone, Dr. Zeno as like an antagonist or whatever the fuck their relationship now is at this point.
Right.
I don't even know. I like, based on like the last conversation I remember them having, because now that I think about it, I think I am a couple chapters behind on Dr. Stone. But the last conversation I remember Zeno and Senku having, they were kind of like boys in that cabin room. You know what I'm saying? Like it felt like they were kind of chilling. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see like what conflict looks like with both of them kind of like on the same team. It's like, what issue could you possibly have? You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, man, I'm so
whose science is better?
Yeah.
Whose science is more accurate? Right? Like whose method is better?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll totally butt heads all the time like that. I feel like,
right. But I think the bigger conflict is going to be the ethics behind the science, right? Like Senku obviously being supremely ethical, being very much like very pure good, but Zeno being more like, obviously science is what's necessary. Obviously I'm the best at science in his opinion. I should be the boss of everyone, right? Like there's probably a lot of people on the planet who think that's how things should go, right? And that's a great source of conflict.
I think it's so interesting because you don't have like raw black and white characters. Now, if it was Senku with his science, white knighting, and then Dr. Zeno with his science, black knighting, you know what I'm saying? Like it would be, that feels a little too easy in my opinion. I think it's cool how you have Senku, both Zeno and Senku wildly intellectual, the top 2 smartest characters in the series, and you have Senku trying to do the right thing the right way, quote unquote, and you have Zeno who's trying to do the right thing the wrong way. You know what I mean? So that's a very interesting dynamic between them. And if they are really, if that is the conflict, like morality, or ethics inside of the science, cool. But if not, and they really are just working together hand in hand, what is the next threat going to be if it's not that? You know what I mean? It would have to be like a large scale natural disaster. You know what I mean? Like not a person, you know what I mean? Like, or it could be aliens or something like that. But I feel like but I feel I don't know. I just feel like a person doesn't make sense while they're teamed up. You know what I mean?
That's why it's aliens, bro.
Yeah. But yeah,
aliens.
Yeah. But super excited for next episode, man. Can't wait to start reviewing Dr. Stone. We'll be picking that up with Weekly Shonen Jump issue numbers 4 and 5 because I believe that Weekly Shonen Jump is on break after this issue.
Yeah,
correct.
And when we come back, it'll be 4 and 5, and then we'll get Dr. Stone chapter 80. So that's where we'll pick up with that. But I think chapter 180.
180.
Yeah.
I said 80, right? Yeah. 180. Yep. But yeah, I think I'm good on Dr. Stone tonight, you guys.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
All right, cool. Can't wait. All right, getting into Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 44, and this is titled "Mash Burn Dead" and the home visit. Now, when I read the title of this chapter, I was like, "Shit, we're going home," because I'm like, man, like going home chapters or episodes always are like, they're fun. Like I appreciate them for what they do. But inside of Mashle, like I just remember it like being like in the courtroom and I'm like, where is this going to develop next? You know what I mean? And then going into this, it's like, no, we're going home. And I was initially bummed, but then I read the chapter and I was like, this is one of the best going home chapters I've ever read in my life, bro.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, there's still other things going on other than going home, right? Like we're warming up the next threat, basically.
Yep.
So yeah, that's really cool. I love seeing Mash still terrible at lying when he's like lying to Rain there. Like it's just hilarious.
Comes out. And looking down into the right. Yeah.
I guess I'll chill, man. All right.
I love how the first page opens up with like world building. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, okay, all of the these are a prefecture. You know what I mean? They have all of the dorms have a prefect that like I don't even. Yeah. All the that's the word they use, right? Prefect.
Yeah, prefect.
Yeah. So all the dorms have a prefect, and
Harry Potter.
Yeah, which is like the best, mage in the house. That's not a divine visionary already, right?
Right.
So like that's cool to get that. I love hierarchical like ladders, being established. You know what I mean? So if you can fill in that puzzle of who's up here, who's under them, if you paint that, if you're trying to make that a thing. I'm in full support of that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The music note lines are super fucking cool, man. I love the music note lines on even the subordinates, like and which means all of them are double liners. Of course, Margaret, Macaron,
wonder what their abilities are.
Yeah, I mean you assume sound is going to be involved.
Not just sound, but like could sound be represented in any other way in the line design besides musical notes?
I mean, it could.
I'm trying to think of like how else it could be represented because when I saw the line designs, I'm like, okay, music is this dude's power, but like you just said, Keiko, it doesn't have to be music. It just could just be sound and they use it in a musical way, probably, or something like that. But it's probably a base just sound. But then I'm like, well, why is it music notes specifically? If it's just sound manipulation,
right. So the prefect of Orca dorm, Margaret Macaron, like one of their lines is a treble clef, which I'm not a music theorist or anything, but like that's like the thing at the beginning of the music stanza or whatever, right? And but there's more than just treble clef. There's like bass clef and all, like it's like the tone or something of the musical piece or something, like the key kind of thing. It's not the key, but it's more something related to the music. So you could have like potentially like high pitched attack energy, like bass, low frequency, like more vibrational energy or whatever. A different way to draw it
could be like, now I'm thinking of Apu because it's like, treble is probably the slicing attacks. Bass is the explosions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
Wow, I never even thought about it like that.
And I feel like you really need that when you have 3 characters now with music lines. They're all double lines. Like it's music notes as lines. So it's like they all can't have the same fucking magic. I mean, I think maybe these twins could, right? Like these, two subordinates could have the same magic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I think we'll
that'd
see
be cool though.
Cool diversity inside of like what sound magic really looks like in Mashle. Because if you're going to introduce sound/music magic with 3 characters instantly, they're all going to do something wildly different from each other, or the 2 twins have very similar abilities. Maybe one's music magic is a buff, the other one's a debuff. You know what I mean? It could be a situation like that. That would be sick. You know what I mean? But very excited for that. The tempura in this chapter looks so fucking good, bro. I was looking at page 7 like, wait a minute. And was I the only one that when he starts going crazy on this piano, was I the only one that heard Beethoven's Ninth? Bum 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 bum.
He literally says the song.
Does he?
Yeah, it's the composition. Yeah,
it's Frühlings Ankunft.
Yeah.
By Schumann.
That's the name of the song? Okay, I thought he was I was like, okay, here's a German character, he's speaking German.
No.
I didn't think that was the actual name of the song, but I'm going through this and like he's going crazy on the piano and I'm seeing a whole bunch of badums and da-da-das, so I'm like, I just like made it in my mind, dun 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 dun. Dun. You know what I'm saying? Like Beethoven Symphony or whatever. That's totally what I heard in this scene. He legitimately says the name. Though. So wait, we can listen to this song? It's a real song?
Yep, it's called Frühlings Ankunft by Schumann. It's another, you could call it Spring Arrival is like the English of how you'd say that German song title or whatever. It's a real thing. You can go search that on YouTube.
That is so cool.
I did listen to it.
Yep. It was fun.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. You know what? I'm not the guy.
You guys listen to it?
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah. So it's but those panels were very intense. Man, the sweat flying. Like you even see the glimmer on the sweat on like that last panel before it goes into the super intense panel where he is saying this. Frühlings Ankunft, like that was chilling to me for him to like say it while staring up in the sky. Like I really felt like this is gonna be I feel like it's gonna be a really good antagonist. Like I really hope they are not just. I mean, MASH, it's like you just one shot everybody and punches them down the block or something. Right. But like with sound magic though, like that really could pose a good problem versus a physical character. I mean, like you think of Rock Lee, right? Like you just think of the Sound Ninjas versus Rock Lee because the dude hit the vibration and once his thing's vibrating, he like focused the vibration right directly at the earlobe and then throws off his like whole equilibrium. He can't stand up. Like he's seeing double and triple and shit. So like you could really see something like that happen to MASH. And maybe this fight isn't just, like a one shot, that we
I really hope it's not because I think about it all the time in MASH. I'm like, okay, Mashle is the one shot, you know what I'm saying, like character. He's like the like that's the joke, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a joke, but it's also used seriously, you know what I mean? Like what kind of situations are we going to see MASH in, you know what I mean, where he can't just one shot himself out of everything. You know what I mean? And when you have sound magic, like Kiko was saying, it's like, like we definitely could see him struggle with that. You know what I'm saying? But like as far as like struggles in Mashle goes, like as far as stakes goes, it's like when are we ever going to see? Because like you have Black Clover, and when Black Clover starts, you're like, okay, you're gonna give him anti-magic, so he's just gonna never have a single issue throughout the entire series because he can literally just anti anything that's shot at him. But Tabata did a really good job of showing, how stakes can still be there despite him having the hard counter to the entire universe. You know what I mean? And then in Mashle, you have MASH, who isn't using anti-magic, but he's just so strong that it doesn't matter. And this is also a comedy, so you feel like that's always going to be a thing. But then you're like, how long can that last in a way that's good? And then you look at Jujutsu Kaisen, who has perfected the formula for overpowered characters, but it's not their main character. Gojo is the overpowered answer to everything, but his character is written in a way to where he's always busy doing something or he's somewhere else helping. He can't be everywhere at once. That's how you play with that. You can't do that with MASH because he has to always be there. You know what I mean? So it's like
the focus.
But
I think how you do it is the One Punch Man formula, right? Like you have to have all these other amazing characters that are compelling on their own, doing their own different things. So it's very possible that Rain versus, Margaret right here, like could just be definitive and Rain just beats their ass, right? Like and that's that. And like that would be cool as long as like we get information and all this other thing that, you know, give us, you know, the insight on, you know, like what's happening here a little bit with, okay, we're going to have, you know, Margaret here, like take on this job. Like, is it only because Mash is like beat Abel without magic? Is like that the only motivation here for this character? Like, because that just doesn't feel like enough right now.
Right.
So
maybe if you also introduced him in a way that made it like, because when he says he did it without magic and he drops his tempura, instantly I go, okay, this dude is a character who's always looking for the next challenge. You know what I mean? Like, if someone beats Abel without magic, that's got to be very exciting for a character who lives for war.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But he wasn't really introduced that way. You know what I mean? He was introduced very cool and very proper, you know, eating, you know, politely, you know what I mean? Like, he's obviously very weird when you get his piano scene, but like he didn't come off as someone who should be wildly excited to fight someone like Mash after hearing something like that. You know what I mean?
It's weird. I don't know. The character could be just very well written in that way because just the way Margaret's like, Abel is just a coin hoarder, and that's not a reflection of strength whatsoever. Like,
he does say that. He does say that.
And Margaret's like, Margaret has some background motivations here, like fuck this coin collecting. I'm you know, Orca, right? Like, I'm the fucking intelligent, the artsy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We're not the fucking brute force ones. We're not the ones that have high power. Like, I don't know. Like, they're in that other category, the you know, intellectual category. You know, because I don't know. I don't want to say it's just science, especially when the dude that's running it is a musician. You know, art takes all sorts of different forms. So like, the intellectual, artsy dorm, you know, like it makes a lot of sense for the prefect of that dorm to have these really super underlying crazy motivations and to just maybe guise it as he beat fucking, you know, Abel with no magic. Let me go see what that's about.
And now
but
that
maybe
I'm looking
there's
back
more
at it, he
to
says, I only care about one thing, the rush. He literally says that. I care about the rush. So then obviously when you say this motherfucker smoked a divine visionary candidate with no magic, that's going to give you that like, oh, I'm going down a roller coaster feeling probably. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
That makes sense.
See, but like, I think there's still more to it than that, because it's like, if you really, you know, seek only the rush, fighting Abel for those coins should give you a rush.
True.
Plus, having the coins and becoming divine visionary should give you a rush, because that opens the door to bigger rushes. You're going to fight bigger obstacles.
True.
So it's like, I feel like there's got to be more than just the rush, but maybe not. Maybe there isn't. But
maybe
you know,
it's
this
the
character
rush
just
plus what we can expect from his character knowing his position.
I just don't want to see Margaret be wasted, because I feel like there's a lot of potential in this character, and I really, really want extra shit going on with them.
Well, see, that's the thing that we have to like worry about inside of Mashle, considering it's such a comedic story.
Yes.
Whenever amazing characters are introduced that you want to see a lot of things from, there's always that possibility that Mash just backhands them and then they're done. You know what I mean? So like, you always have that looming in the background, which is why I personally couldn't give, you know, Mashle or something like that, like Rookie of the Year in the award show that we did, because it's like, I appreciate Mashle for what it does. I think that it's done literally nothing wrong the entire time that it's been here. But like, just the fact that I know that characters that I could become super invested in, super curious in ways to where I want to see specific, and maybe not specific, but just like certain things from them based on my initial, you know, impression of them, and just know that all of that can just, regardless of whatever buildup they get, regardless of whatever, it's all going to be thrown away for the comedic joke of Mash sat on you or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's always going to make me like not want to like fully commit like to Mashle as on the serious side of its story. You know what I mean?
We needed serious undertones with the side characters, like more so by now. Like Dote having his fight, you know, like it was impactful, and he did take damage and stuff like that. But like, you know, it's good enough so far. This is very early manga, but like, if you don't have those that serious looming like stakes, like, did you ever really think Dote was gonna die? Like, I didn't, you know, like
I don't think I'm ever going to think that inside of Mashle. And that's fine. If Mashle is never once trying to act like it's something that should be taken serious enough to where you can think that characters can die, if it's not trying to do that, then that's not really a criticism that I feel like I can use to take anything away from Mashle objectively.
You can't.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Obviously.
Definitely.
But me personally, it's like, I love it for what it is, but I can never take it too seriously if there's no stakes. You know what I mean? Like, personally, you know what I mean? So
For sure.
We could still get stakes.
We could still get stakes.
Happen.
They could play with stakes inside of the secondary characters. I just want it to be a situation where, like, if you are going to have this overwhelming force and presence in your story, you have to find a way to not always rely on them. Make MASH busy somewhere while someone is in mortal danger. Then we know that MASH is not just going to walk up and save them, or maybe another character does. But I mean, like, that opens the door for a lot of ways you can handle that. But if it's literally just MASH pulls up every time whenever things get super serious, then it's like we don't have anything to worry about because we know MASH is MASH.
Even when he gets impaled with a sword,
right?
You know, like,
yeah.
What I'm especially excited for with this matchup here is that the matchup is before MASH, right? So it's gonna be Rain versus Margaret or whatever, and like that is going to be like you could call it a prefect level battle, right?
Yeah.
So Rain presumably is no longer a student. I assume Rain is not a student because Rain is the divine visionary.
Yeah.
And why would they still be a student if MASH could also be a divine visionary while Rain is a student?
We can look at divine visionary as graduation, I would assume.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but at the very least, we do have on this first page of the chapter kind of confirmation that Rain was a prefect of Adler Dorm when he was in school. So this is going to be like a level of battle that we've never seen before, which is prefect versus prefect. And I think that will hopefully be a badass battle that will be like super hype, you know, and not involve MASH at all, right?
Yes.
And it's hard to say, will Rain lose requiring MASH to, you know, intervene? I doubt it. But at the very least, I hope we get a good fight between these two. Or between Rain and the group of music magic users, because it's gonna be tight as hell, I'm sure.
I just love when threats are introduced, hyped up, defeated, but like not done. You know what I mean? Like if you can hype up a character, like in this situation with Margaret versus Rain, I think is what it ends on in this chapter, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So like if we get like a really high level fight between two characters that aren't MASH, and we can really feel stakes on either side, like we don't know what's going to happen. Like they don't, like no one has to outright die or lose, but I just want that uncertainty of not knowing how the situation is going to end inside of a series that has a very obvious and used very often answer inside of MASH. You know what I mean? I want to see how Komoto plays with the situation when MASH is not involved. So I'm very excited about this as far as scale goes. But ideally, this fight goes to high diff and then gets like interrupted, and then Margaret bounces, regroups, Rain bounces, whatever. You know, I like conflicts that aren't ended and come back multiple times, rather than your entire character arc is you're introduced, we learn everything about you, you fight, you have your final fight, and then you're done. You know what I mean? So all in one stretch of storytelling. Like I like it when it's broken up and characters are reused, you know?
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. Brad Coleman is back and he's acting fairly cool, even though he was a bitch before. That's to do with the slicked hair.
Brad Coleman.
Oh yeah,
Brad
Just
Coleman.
Sounds like
That
a bitch.
cop
Sorry,
over
Brad
the magic-
Coleman's out there.
He's a cop, and it was like, you know, he got overwhelmed by, you know, MASH's strength per usual. And was like, hey, if you can be the divine visionary, I won't fuck with you anymore. But MASH is not the divine visionary, and yet he's still here. Like, man, how's it going, kid? Man, how's it going? Hey, everything's good, man. You know, it's like, no, you're trying to arrest me. Fuck you, dude. Nah, get out my house. Like, I'd be mad, but it's MASH, you know. And Shonen MC, they don't hold grudges very long,
right?
You know.
Right.
But yeah. Also, the other thing too, like that was really big for me is that. Why does Finn look so worried? It's bottom of 17. You know, because Regro, which I feel some kind of way saying his name. But Regro is happy to see his son MASH, you know, having friends and living this life. And he's like, I wish this could stay this way forever, right?
Yeah, dude, this was such a wholesome, beautiful, amazing scene. I barely even know MASH's dad like that. I feel like we only saw him in like chapter 1 or like 2 maybe. You know what I mean? And Mashle isn't that old, but I mean, we've been week to week the entire time, so it feels like I haven't seen this motherfucker in years.
Basically.
But like this scene, I was like, Dad! You know what I mean? Like it was so heartwarming,
But when he's saying this, like, I hope these days last forever, you got a really intense panel of Finn, like, big eye here, like, and then I'm sure they will. It's like, what do you mean you sure they will? No days stay the same. Like, shit's clearly like, it's just like foreboding, right? Like,
look at this ominous aura around Regro too. Like in this, I hope these days last forever panel, he's got like a very subtle, low opacity, like aura around him, you know.
And look at the
really
panel within.
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
The panel with him in it before, you know, still on 17, like he's really shaded out. His eyes are gone.
He
you know,
looks
like
mad shady, G.
And I don't really think he's shady. I just think he knows so much more than we're gonna know. And
I don't mean shady as in he's gonna do something like nefarious. But I just
you're
mean,
totally
like,
right. This is definitely foreshadowing the fact that this dude knows the true, potentially the true history of MASH.
Yes.
Or at least like what groups could be coming after MASH. And he's saying, like, I hope that now that MASH has made friends and now that everyone's happy, like, I just hope this, maybe everything will just work out, right? And the things I'm thinking about in the back of my mind that are going to happen, maybe they won't happen, right? But they're going to happen. And
they're definitely going to
the conflict will come to them for sure.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Whoa. Yeah. What if, okay, he says, I hope these days last forever.
Yep.
And then Finn has a very shocked expression, ellipses, I'm sure they will. Next page is enemies approaching the area, right?
Are you?
What if Finn's magic is like, no, because then
sensory.
I was gonna say it's like danger detection or like a spidey sense or like some kind of like UAV.
Can't
or
get
like
that in
radar.
both chapters today.
Yeah.
So
So I thought about it for a second. I'm like, no, because we would have seen this ability already because Finn has been in danger already. Yeah.
Here's where I thought you were going.
Yeah.
What if Finn is actually a traitor, is actually a bad guy, and he's thinking he has been kind of converted by MASH, right? He actually has grown to like MASH, but he thinks like, I hope these days last forever, and he goes, well, I know they won't
because my people are on the way.
Because my people are on the way. I'm sure they will, because I want to make you feel better.
But that's his brother going to fight him, so like Finn it's against the whole Ames family.
Finn is not a traitor by choice. I feel like Finn is under the yoke of oppression in some kind of way. And
maybe we still have we have yet
to
see Finn activate.
That's true.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything from Finn really.
But Rain being so supportive of their group, you know, Finn is gonna be going, he's gonna be betraying his family, right? Which could be very possible too. Like that was always the goal for Finn. Like Finn did have, innocent Zero or somebody, working whatever angle against him to get at Rain, since Rain is so powerful, up and coming, divine visionary, whatever. But now that MASH is on the scene, it's like, oh wait, no, redirect your energy towards this guy because we got some other plans for him. So it's very possible that, but I feel like it has to be both, right? Like I feel like both of those things have to be true. Like he has to be against Rain and MASH, right?
I would assume if he's against MASH, he's against Rain.
Yeah,
sure,
right? But, like Rain does seem to be a good guy and supportive of MASH.
Yeah. But do you think?
Yeah.
But would you think Finn is against MASH primarily, but now that Rain has joined the fray, Finn has to be like, oh shit, I have to go against my brother, or and that's where some of this
it could be a situation where this raid is happening. Rain gets like fucked up during it, and then Finn goes like, I caused this. Like, I didn't think my brother was going to be like this hardcore on MASH's side. I've got like ulterior motives because of plot points that are going to be fleshed out later. You know what I mean? I could totally, if it is a traitor situation, I could totally see it being Finn is against MASH, but didn't know his brother would be that involved. And then like has a moment where he's like, oh my God. And then we get the entire story and he's like, I fucked up. I did this wrong. I thought it was going to be a different way. Now my brother's in danger. I'm an idiot. And then MASH is like, it's all good, bro. Like, I understand your position. I saved everybody and now we're cool,
Sure.
It would be very surprising if Finn was bad, right? And especially if he's like if he's like, I hate my brother too. Like he's always overshadowed me. He's the divine visionary. Like I've always been like the second brother or whatever. Like I want to be the first brother. I want to be the best magician ever, right? Like so it's like there's a lot of ways the plot could go.
Then it could be he's out to get his brother. and not Mash, but then Mash is involved. It could be an opposite situation.
That's what I was saying to begin with. Finn being a traitor, I feel like has to be such like a bigger thing. Like he has to be a traitor against the school as a whole, which makes him a traitor against Rain, and he's got to go against Rain. But now that Mash is on the scene and that Mash, poses these other issues, Innocent Zero or whoever's controlling him has redirected his energy now to focus on Mash. But I think it would have to be like a whole overarching thing.
Yeah.
Betrayal against the school where these other characters are just part of it, right? Like, and it's not just Finn against Mash.
Yeah.
Right.
Just, as a plant strictly against just Mash, right?
Right.
So
now, do we actually believe Finn is a traitor?
I want to believe it now because it's like we know nothing about him, and he's clearly meant to be the last person you'd success.
You would never suspect it, and
if
and
there
it
is
is
a traitor,
I would never suspect it. But you raise a good point. Like why? Like why have this panel over Finn's face and having him say like, I'm sure they will. Like he's clearly surprised and taken aback by this this statement. I hope these days last forever, right? Like it is interesting to think of like,
but why would he be surprised there and not as soon as he gets to the crib and sees how strong Mash and his father's relationship is? Why would it? Why would it take Reguro saying something like that in order to make Finn feel guilty about something, and not just like as soon as I get here, oh, you have a beautiful family, I feel bad right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that because of that, it gives more credence to my spider sense theory.
We'll see.
We'll see. But I feel like there's no other possibility of why he could be reacting like that besides spider sense, or he knows the threat is coming.
I think there's one other option, which is the dad says, "I hope these days last forever," and when we go the zoom into Finn's face, it isn't meant to imply anything other than we're getting a zoom in of Finn's face, and Finn says, I'm sure they will, because he trusts Mash. He trusts that good things will happen, and he's just making small talk.
It could be Finn going, this is how your parents should feel about you.
Yes.
And Finn doesn't get that from his parents because Rain does. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So Finn is going, wow, this is what a dad is? You know what I mean?
I feel like Finn is picking up the ominous aura that Regro is putting out, and is like, that's why he's surprised. Like, this guy feels like there's something here, so I better like console him, right?
Okay.
Like that's more of what I think it is.
Yes.
Now that
so many possibilities from such an ambiguous moment in the chat.
And of all of them, I agree with the one you just said, Kiko.
That makes the most sense.
That when Regro is saying,
feel the
when Regro is saying, I hope these days last forever, there is an implication that there's a reason that they shouldn't, that they won't.
And I just don't think you draw this ominous, aura around Regro in this scene if Rain or if Finn is not reacting because of Regro's aura.
Exactly. Finn is just reacting to, this father, being very much concerned, right? Like there's an underlying concern, and he's picking up on that underlying concern and being like, well, I'll try and make you feel better. Yes, I completely agree with that perspective. Yes.
And I just want to say maybe just a titch more. I feel like Finn is picking up on Regro's like, I feel like there's so much more than just man, I just wish this could stay this way forever. Like, I still think obviously that Regro has information as to why it should not, and that he's really like oozing the worry. Like, I mean, it's like very easy to pick up on for Finn to really notice, like, man, this guy is really, really, really worried about this. More so than just like a parent would be normally in this situation for their son. You know, especially when it's kind of a happy time and you're saying, hey, I'm so glad that he's found these people. So like,
totally.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta shout out like this super funny moment, like right before the Reguro scene with Lance offering the merch of his sister to everybody. I thought that was funny as hell. I love seeing the gang. Like I at first, like the first time that we saw the protagonist group like in that really funny gag panel of them with their hands up and shit.
Yeah.
I was like, what's that about? Then we see it like 3 more times. I'm like, oh, this is like their funny friend moment. Now we see it like super exaggerated and they're all stick figures like doing like the hands and the air dance like off in the background, and I just love I just love that.
Some other comedy. I mean, Lemon, hey, I'm his future fiance, and he's like, or I'm his future wife, and he's like, I didn't know he had a fiance. He's like, well, we haven't even held hands. We're staying pure.
Yeah. I love seeing Mash's dad reaction to all of the personalities inside of Mash's friend group, because you think about it from like Reguro's perspective. You're like, my son is literally never going to have friends. And then you think about what else a parent is thinking about. If he's never going to have friends, he's never going to get married. You know what I'm saying? Like blah, 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 like you think about all that stuff. And then no, in a row, in a line, best friend, rival, girlfriend, everything. It's just like all of this father's dreams are coming true for his kid in this moment. And it's just such a wholesome situation. I love it. This is probably my favorite chapter of Mashle so far. No cap.
It's really good. It's very good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you guys good? I think I'm good.
Yeah, that's all I had.
I think that was very thorough for
it was.
For Mashle,
definitely.
Fuck yeah. Okay, getting into Black Clover, chapter 276, Boreas. How do you feel, guys?
Cool chapter.
I guess. I guess I can just start out saying that I like the spatial magic dynamic thing here because it shows that Tabata planned Langris's involvement really, really, like this has been planned for a long time, right? Because Langris has beef with Finral way, way back in that like tournament thing.
Yep.
And then he's taken out of the story for a little bit for him to be taken over by an elf, but he wasn't really taken over. He still like kept his wherewithal somehow.
Yeah, he was the one that was taken over, but was still him, wasn't he?
Yeah. And he still wanted to kill Finral. Like he was still a big douchebag, like he was, if I remember that correctly. But like the fact of the matter is that he got whooped, taken out of the story. So A, can become the new vice captain. B, so Xenon can come and fight Golden Dawn, wipe them out without spatial magic versus spatial magic at that time.
Yes.
And then C, so they can regroup later, and now has spatial magic on his side to, do whatever, which doesn't look like it's doing very much here anyway. But at least like this whole thing had to be planned in those sequence of events, which sometimes you feel like sometimes with shonen stories, things are just kind of thrown in where they fit. They got this big outline planned and they got a beginning, a middle, and an end plan, but like all the, super fine details, are kind of made up along the way sometimes. Not with like a One Piece, even though it does that. I mean, I'm sure a smidge amount, but like, when you got to, but like a lot of the time, like things, the planning, you don't need to have like super like perfect planning, like a hunter, right? Like you don't have an energy system perfectly planned, but like this, for Tabata, I feel like was good.
I'm glad that you said that because like whenever there is scenes like and I know that like I'm trying to. And it feels weird to say this because, like, when I say it, it feels like I'm, like, downplaying Black Clover. But Black Clover, very much so for me, is something that I have to almost entirely forget that other manga exists when I read it. Because, like, whenever something cool happens in Black Clover, I instantly think of, like, other stories that did the exact same thing better. And maybe that's just because I'm biased against Black Clover at this point, and, like, I'm looking for things to complain about, maybe unconsciously. I don't know. But, like, when I'm looking at this scene, even though I love everything about what's going on in Black Clover right now, I couldn't help but think, of the Chimera Ant punitive force invasion and just like how much more build up there was to that. And I understand that Hunter is a wildly different story than Black Clover, but like when you think about the scale of what they're doing right now and like what it means to their mission to succeed and what it means to their mission if they fail, I just feel like considering the scale, it just would have felt better if there was maybe more than 2 chapters of build up to this, and maybe they didn't say like it was 2 days away. Maybe I don't know, man, and maybe it couldn't have been longer than 2 days because of the plot, and I'm just forgetting something. I don't know, but like the pacing in Black Clover has just always been something that has felt like awkward to me, and like I don't really care week to week because it's like not something I don't have to sit through slice of life each week. I can just get action like most weeks in Black Clover, so like the week to week like wait isn't that crazy because of that. But like retrospectively, like thinking about the series, it's like I wish that that Tabata spent more time in the leading up to this final invasion of Spade, considering everything else that's happened so far. You don't have to like with Hunter, you know what I'm saying? With the Punitive Force invasion in Hunter, they did it in a way to where they're like, okay, we're obviously crafting a very intricate plan here, but we're not showing you everything about the plan, but we're like telling you everything we possibly can about what we do want to show you about the plan. So you feel like you have a good idea of what the main characters want to do inside of the situation, and then all of the best hype moments inside of the plan have been left out so that you can get them in the moment. Whereas Black Clover, it just feels like we don't know anything about this plan and we're going to learn everything about it from the action inside of it. And it's like, okay, whatever, like that's cool.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Like I have to forget other manga exist when I read Black Clover, or else I'm just going to think of other times manga did what they're doing better. So
it's so tough to think like, if you're going to compare, like we'll just say like the captains or, you know, they're the squad right now, all geared up, new robes, about to jump in, do their thing, to like when Squad jumps out of Nove's fucking 4D apartment complex. Like you're never, I don't know if there's
so much harder because of Nove's scene planting the portals.
Yeah. Well, sure. No, you know it's so much more than that, obviously. But that's a huge part. But it's like we know how dire the fucking we know how dire the fucking threat is. Like we know, like we've had so much time with King and the Royal Guards that is so fucking frightening and stuff. Like the ominous auras and whatnot. And it's just like, and how like the characters around him react. It's just like, you want that. I want that recreation anytime my squad's about to jump into some, you know, we're all jumping deep. Like it's hard because I don't feel like any manga across anything has ever given me the same feeling as one of the Punitive Forces about to jump out of Noves.
Me neither.
You know,
me neither.
I don't think anything's ever. I've never been so worried for
how things were going to go. The uncertainty was so
soon as they go through the door.
Yes.
I've never. And
then
it's hard to compare it to that.
Though. But then going more into and this is the last complaint I'm going to make about this Black Clover chapter, because it's not even really a complaint. I loved this chapter. I loved it. I loved all of it. But the one part that had me like feel weird was when Dante, or Zenon rather. Zenon is when he's having his internal monologue, and Yuno goes into the spirit of Boreas, and Zenon is like, what is this pressure in that spell form? Even so, in this space, they can't wield any power. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I can't let you keep your victory over me, I think is what Yuno then says. But then it goes back to Zenon, and he's like, no. And when I'm going through the chapter, I'm like, wait a minute, Yuno's got this plan. He knows what he's doing. He's coming in. He's about to go crazy. He's thought about this. You know what I'm saying? There's layers and strategy. There's narration. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this feels very crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. Yuno's got something up his sleeve that we're not ready for. We're about to get the reveal right now. Zenon is confused about what's happening to him. We're about to get some kind of crazy page turn here where we're going to get some crazy lore information about the power system. That's wild. Nope. Turn the page. He's beloved by Mana.
Yep.
No. Are you dead ass serious?
It's the worst.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Impossible to plan for. There's no way Yuno could possibly have known before this that this would have happened. No way.
I'm just beloved by Mana, so I'm going. And there's still more topic I can do here.
Yep.
I'm not saying that this is the be all end all. Oh my god, Topic is trash. Whatever. I'm just saying this was disappointing for me because I'm like, we are going to get a very epic page turn here where we're going to see something we've never seen before in Black Clover. Nope, Mana loves you.
So
and it's damn it.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sure we all feel the same. And all you can do in your mind is try to like justify how this will work for you in the end, right? Like, and how to make this good, because it's like you go and you think of like other situations like this within other manga, right? Like this is like a Willa D thing, right? Like I'm just gonna win because I have like fate on my side, even though not all D's, that doesn't happen for all D, but for Luffy or whatever, you know, it's like I have fate on my side. I am like, you know, I got divine whatever intervention, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? Like is if we get further chapters later and further information that like Yuno is loved by Mana for some really specific reason, and like it starts making like some other sense, and that Asta's hated by Mana, like that would really make and there's some there's like and there's like some I don't know, cosmic power, like something that will tie this together to not make it bad, right? You're hoping for that, but my note though is He simply beloved by Mana is probably ass. Not gonna be like Will of D. Like that's literally like what I wrote. It's like I have no faith is the problem. Is that this is gonna.
I personally don't believe that Tabata has given us any reason to have faith personally. And
exactly,
I know you. I know what you're looking for in manga. I know Nick. I know us personally. If Eagle was here, there would obviously be a different opinion here. But just inside of our personal echo chamber, like these are things, you know what I mean, that uncertainty is everything for me personally. I need to not know how things are going to happen in order for me to care about really significant moments and stories at this point in the game. You know what I mean? Like we've seen this happen in every confrontation in Black Clover so far. So someone, could argue, why are you expecting different things then at this point? You know what I mean? Right. Sure, that's fine. And I would be like, you're totally right. But Tabata is clearly trying to introduce a new tone inside of conflict since this time skip. And he is just falling short every time. Like these cliffhangers, bro. Like how many times are we going to get this drastic damage cliffhanger just to find out it really didn't do anything to the guy next chapter? Like this is probably spatial magic. This is not damage. This is him spatially manipulating the space right here to look like damage, but it's really just you don't hit me now or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and if I'm wrong and Zeno is fucked up at the start of the next chapter, I'm gonna be like, my bad, audience, my bad, Tabata. You will see me be like, fuck yeah, I'm so happy because I want this to be good.
Guaranteed. Like if in 2 weeks or whatever, when the new chapter comes out, if Xenon is dead, I will literally, I'll be like,
I don't need him to be dead, but you know what I'm saying. I need this to not be
chest has a big hole in it.
Exactly.
And so this is literally. I was joking earlier. This is Sephiroth and Mario, right? Like Sephiroth has just pierced Mario.
And then you zoom
looks
out.
Like he's dead, and they zoom in. Oh, it's actually no. He just got him by the belt loop or whatever, right? Like the overall, like that's what this is, and this is what it was with Noelle. This is what it was with just so many times in this story, right? And it's like
give or take.
This is the most used cliffhanger in Black.
Yeah,
I was to say over or under 30 times Tabata's done this thus far. It's like over or under. I feel like it's over 30 times that we've had this type of cliffhanger.
And this is one of those moments where you almost know, and it's so hard to say in manga, right? That something is happening, but almost guaranteed that this is not lethal damage. This is not, maybe not even damage at all.
Significant. This might not even be damage. And see, like that's the thing. It's like, stop using this cliffhanger if it's not going to be real damage.
Right.
Use this cliffhanger like if it's real damage. At this point, I'm not saying that a storyteller has to use this cliffhanger this way, but Tabata at this point, this motherfucker better be hurt next week. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying it better be like, what am I going to do? Or what, Noxie? Nothing. But
I'll complain about it.
Yeah, you're gonna be here listening to me complain. You know what I mean? So that's the or what audience.
So is that so much to ask? Is it so much to ask for if a character's
one of these times they actually get hurt?
I'm not half Super Saiyan. I'm full Super Saiyan. I got the whole crown. I got double wings. I got an axe now. I'm gonna go over to you. I'm beloved my mana. I go shabam. And you are drawn to have a hole in your abdomen, a hole in your torso.
Yeah.
Is it wrong for me as a reader to think shouldn't this be damaged? This should be damaged, right? Like,
and it shouldn't just be like. And see, this is the thing. It's like if this is not damage, then why the fuck do I care? Like about like the damage that does come from later because like you're in Super Saiyan, you're in a new form, you just broke past the defense you were so anxious about, and then it's all for nothing, and then you're going to eventually deal significant damage.
Right.
Like that's obviously going to be just another hand wavy moment where you're loved more by mana.
Right.
You know what I mean? And their damage gets through this time. You know what I mean? Like that's all, and it's like, come on, man.
So to take it back a little bit, right? Like let's think the alternative, right? Like it can't be lethal damage, right? We're basically like almost saying, please have this be lethal damage. Please prove us wrong. But at the same time, it can't be lethal damage. You can't have this whole buildup of we're gonna stop these people. We're gonna have this huge subjugation force and come in here, and we're gonna have one chapter of a fight with one of the Dark Triad. Impossible.
Yeah,
right? Impossible.
Happen like that.
Let me say this. So, like, depending on your definition of lethal, like to me, lethal means you die, which he's not going to die. So
he better at least
exactly. So, well, here's my question. So, if this is big damage on Xenon, can he heal like Dante? Dante had like body magic. That's why it made sense for him to heal. Yeah. Did Vanica heal after she took damage? Because she did take some damage, and I feel like X amount of devil release, they can heal themselves. So like it could be theoretically lethal damage if it did actually hit on a different mage, and then Xenon's just going to negate it with some weird devil healing, Vanica, which isn't any better. It's not any better.
I think with Vanica, because she had blood magic, it's just like less lethal than you think it would be because of the blood aspect. But also, I think with Vanica, it was you damaged me, but like I'm strong enough to still beat you despite the damage. Whereas with Dante, it's you damaged me. This should fuck me up, but I have body magic. So with Xenon, it's like this is either damage or he opened up a spatial rift that dodged it. You know what I mean?
Or he just put some bones in front of it.
Yeah, or he blocked it with some bones. But would we get this illustration technique on the damage that we see here if this was a bone defense of some kind? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's the former of those two. I think it's the spatial hole, if anything, right?
I think this is just like you thought it was this depth, but it's actually deeper than you think, and you didn't hurt me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So we jumped kind of towards the negative. I had more positive things to say.
I was like, this is going to be the last negative thing I say, and then we spent 20 minutes talking about it.
Well, that was what you said. I had more to say.
Of course. We didn't promise anybody else isn't going to have anything negative to say, but it makes sense because this is what the chapter ends on. The chapter, these Black Clover chapters have ended in this exact same position 30 times, and we're not going to, feel any different than we did during Vanica. Happened 2 times in 2 chapters against Vanica. It's like we're not going to feel any different than we did then. So like obviously those are bad things, right? But let's dial back to some good things.
I do want to say positive. I love the art in the combat.
The art is very good
between Langris and Xenon. I think the way that they showed this spatial magic battle is very awesome, is very interesting, especially coming out of Langris versus Finral, where you had another spatial mage versus spatial mage situation, and the illustration was entirely different, obviously because they have different spatial magic types, so you're going to see different things there. But I just totally thought this was just going to be a mass of spatial blobs like it was with Langris and Finral, and I was happy to see that Dante's magic is specifically interacting with Langris's in a way that is just aesthetically wildly different than his fight with Finral.
Yeah.
I love that. And low key, I feel like I liked Finral the most in this chapter, despite everything that did.
Or Langris,
what did I say? Finral? I think I liked Langris more in this chapter than even though I've been waiting for to have his moment. This was a very awesome chapter for but for some reason I just feel like Langris outshined him just in his subtle dialogue. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time since I met anyone who talked down to me. That's a really cool thing to say. His facial expressions throughout the chapter are always seeming so like confident, but like reserved at the same time. He's very interesting in this chapter. And then he says at the very end,
everything he said fit his character.
Yeah, everything he said fit his character.
I really felt like Langris was a real person. Right?
Yes,
like,
and all of his dialogue slapped whenever he said anything, especially at the very end. I swear, you are a lethally poor loser. That was a really cool line of dialogue to end, such an anticlimactic cliffhanger on for us. You know what I mean?
For us. But so, let me see a couple of good things. I love the space negated on the ground in page 6 and 7 from his big blast from Langris. So like 6, you see spatial mana domination on that panel. It's already, the ground has been dug out. The ground has been dug out on page 7 too on that panel, both of those panels, because at that point he's already like dissipated it and basically dispelled it and just got rid of it. But it was really cool to see that like there's that consistency, and then that's what Tabata does best, honestly. Like he always
magic
keeps those kind of
in fights is always S tier for Tabata.
And like detriment to the environment because of the magic being used. Like he's always very good at that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Nick, go ahead.
Belle has grown up.
She's bigger now. She's like an adult now.
Yep, she's like an adult fairy or whatever. She's got like a bigger chest, longer hair. Like I feel like she just looks older. You know what I mean? Like than
she's
she
got
did
a
before.
Different outfit too, even to a certain degree. I feel like I don't remember this corset style blouse, that she has. I think that she's more so kind of like a puck in Berserk most of the time, where she's naked, but like you can't see very obvious detail in any of the reproductive areas or whatever.
Right.
But like now she's got like a full fucking gown on. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's different as shit.
So let me ask you guys a question here.
Yeah.
Shouldn't Yuno and Langris just get bodied by Xenon flat out still? Because it's like, if Yami and Asta
if
barely
beloved by
beat
magic
Dante,
is the only thing, then yes, I do believe.
Not even beloved by. Okay, beloved by magic is the only thing that can save this fight, which is stupid because we're not going to like it anyway. But like, just the fact that like the matchups don't like it's how does Yami this is so you just have to look at Asta and Yuno as equals, and obviously they're wildly different and have different strengths, but like you still have to consider them equals, right? Like that's just how the story works, right?
That's right.
And then so you're replacing Yami with the Langris, and I'm supposed to believe they're gonna win? Like how?
Well, I think
the spatial magic counter.
And I understand the logic there in the matchup to a certain degree, but I think that inside of your analysis of Yuno and Asta as equals, I definitely do agree with that because it makes all the sense in the world.
Like narratively, that's what it is.
But at the same time, there's going to be moments inside of a rivalry story where the power shifts back and forth.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Well, go ahead, Nick. No, go ahead.
I was going to say that it's been like 3 days. I mean, like, Yuno obviously has leveled up significantly, and Xenon, conversely, it's only been like 3 days. He could not have possibly leveled up at all, right? So, so I think it makes sense that. Sorry.
But no, let me ask you this: who's facing Dante? And who's facing Vanica right now?
Mario Leone is one-man armying this whole shit, bro.
That's outside. That's fighting the demon. But who's fighting? Who's lined up to fight Vanica and fucking Dante right now? 2 captains and 2 captains. And who's lined up to fight Zeno? A vice captain and a former vice captain. Get the fuck out of here. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If they beat Xenon, this is that. It has to be. I'm beloved by mana,
but if they don't beat Xenon here, after all of it. If they
Tabata's gonna spaghetti this shit.
Audio only people, please go to the Black Clover segment on YouTube and at least watch this like 30-second stretch of time because that was funny as hell. But if they do lose here, right? Now if they win here, that's weird as shit because of what you just said. In my opinion, I'm with you on that. If they lose here, then like what does that mean for Yuno's character specifically? That he's coming out of 2 back-to-back losses with no conclusion.
That means he's got to go find Orochimaru, right? Like that's the next step.
But I mean, we have to assume that Yuno wins here somehow, regardless if it's a hand wavy explanation that we're all predicting, or
the Golden Dawn duo are going to avenge vengeance, like their captain. Like that's just narratively, it doesn't really make sense at this point to make that not happen, right? Like
now it makes sense, if Tabata is trying to say Yuno's potency or Yuno's potential is that of a captain or above, but he's just in the position that he is, or whatever. But then it's like you're gonna make Yuno that much stronger than Asta right now. And now Asta did just come out of a power up, so like we have no idea.
And Asta can be a captain level 2, right? But that still means captain level Asta and the best fucking captain versus fucking Dante, and they barely win versus a captain level Yuno, which you can say again maybe a little bit higher than Asta, but then Langris, man, get the fuck
Langris, fam. You're literally but see now that I'm thinking about it, obviously like this is a little bit more strategic depth.
With the spatial magic counters.
So it's like if Langris is literally just there to be a spatial magic counter so that Yuno can get in with his hand wavy boost and do what he needs to do, that feels fine enough.
That is fine.
I guess. Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Like I like that line of thinking from Tabata. But yes, the way that you explained it though, Kiko, it's like, what are you doing here, Langris?
It better have strategy and it better fucking line up good, because when your whole thing is basically, I mean, it's not power of friendship, but power of shonen power up, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, did you win off these, very shallow like victories here? I mean, I guess the victory itself ain't shallow, but like the explanation around these victories are they just don't hit, right? So like you're gonna have that. I mean, there better be strategy to this fight. Otherwise, it just really, really doesn't make sense. Other than the power of mana, me being beloved by mana makes me win, and then so I assume that wins every time. I win every time, right? It's
very weird.
I'm shooting myself in the foot no matter which way I try to like work this around in my head.
It's so weird because it's like, man, it's like I want to love Black Clover from the bottom of my heart, but like it's like half of the time, and I understand that like we are just who we are. You know what I mean? We don't really mean anything in the bigger picture, but like me personally, I'm like every single time we have a conversation about Black Clover and we're talking about the events, I feel like our ideas for the next chapter are always so much better than what we actually get. And that sounds really douchey, but like that's literally just the way that I feel. And I can't help that. But at the same time, it's like, man, it's like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore, bro. But
well, I can go back to some more positive stuff here for a little while.
Yeah, let's go back. To
I mean, it's more like info. So like, Spirit of Boreas, right? Looks super cool. Nick mentioned how we got full crown now. We got cloak and stuff, which I'll talk about that or ask a question or two about that a little later. But Boreas is the Greek god of the northern wind, aka winter, which is his second form. His first form was Spirit of Zephyr, and Zephyros is the west wind, aka fall. They're Greek winds, so presumably he's going to have two more forms.
Nice.
And so. Because they're obviously seasonal winds.
And directional.
And directional. Yes, definitely. But Zephyros was the sword form. So if he transforms back into Spirit of Zephyr at this time, do you think he's gonna have a full crown, full wings? Sword's gonna be bigger and tighter.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of thinking. I'm glad that you mentioned full crown and full wings, because when I saw that too, that jumped out. It's like, okay, so now we got a new form, and once just quick Google search the who the fuck is Boreas?
Yeah.
Quick Google search. It's like, okay, then I see Zephyros is his brother listed right here. I'm like, oh yeah, duh, here we go, here it is. And I'm like, all right, well, great. So we get two more forms. They're all going to be full formed now, I would expect, if this is what this is, and they'll have
lore
a different
is never
weapon.
A problem in Black Clover.
Well, lore these Greek gods did have these weapons too. Like Boreas does have like a big long polearm axe.
That's
yeah.
nice.
So there's some cool stuff there. Like I feel like I don't Google search stuff in Black Clover as much, just because I'm not as invested.
I'm never one to really Google anyway. Like that's usually like you and Nick's like thing. And I'm just here for the reaction, like holy shit, you know what I mean? But even so, like I never look things up, so I'm definitely never looking things up for Black Clover. Yeah. People send me articles all the time, like Black Clover is deeper than you think, and it's like great, love that for Black Clover and Tabata. Tabata doesn't make me care enough to explore. You know what I mean? That's literally what it comes down to. But but the lore, even though it's deeper than obviously I understand for reasons that I just explained, like that is something that I'll never complain about inside of Black Clover is how much Tabata cares about the references that he uses and the research that he clearly shows and does inside of the references that he uses is always amazing to hear about.
If he could just stick the landing on getting some damage in here, getting some stakes, getting these cliffhangers to like feel like they're actually cliffhangers. Right. Like if he could just do that, like that's all he's got. He's just got to fix that little part of his story, make the shit like and strategy, a little bit more strategy in these fights too. Like just like two little quick tweaks here and Black Clover would be great. Like,
he's good at teamwork. He's good at knowing what mages to pair with each other for spectacular spreads and fights and choreography. That's great. But the strategy definitely is indeed missing there, which is weird to say, for Black Clover, because it feels like the strategy is there because of how good the mage pairings are. You see so much good teamwork inside of fights all the time, but it's literally just abilities clashing. Like that's cool. Like it's cool in your face, but then like me personally, when I think deeper about it, it's like, why? Like I understand like why this worked, but like could there have been a little bit more there? I'm constantly thinking about things like that inside of Black Clover. So
it's in that way. Like in this battle, it's hard for me to imagine like what the strategy was from Yuno and Langris's perspective, in the sense that like the spatial magic from Xenon surrounds your magic and completely controls it. There's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah.
So Langris versus Xenon, 0% chance of victory. Like literally zero.
Yeah.
Literally 0% chance of victory. Versus Xenon, also generally 0% chance of victory. If he's able to surround the entire room, the entire space that they're in with his spatial control magic or whatever you want to call it. And the only way that could have won, possibly, like Xenon even said, wait a minute, has he taken control over it with even greater power?
Oh, don't
no.
remind me.
And it's like the only way.
He throws that out.
He said there maybe was a way that you could overpower me, but that's not what you did. You just win because you are loved by mana.
Which means that you're overpowering me, right?
Yeah. Isn't that what it means? But at the very same time, at the very least, it's not strategy, right? They did not pick, I'm going to go fight Xenon because
magic loves me more, in which case why didn't I win last time anyway?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I mean, obviously he leveled up in the past few days, which is fine, but like, or whatever, but like, there was no strategy. There was no strategy in this battle. It was just, we're going to fight you because you beat us before, and we want to not lose again, so we're going to fight you.
Yeah.
And we win because of reasons completely outside of our intention, our planning. Yeah. There was no planning about being beloved by mana.
Yeah.
It's not like said to Bell, like, go into that book and don't come out until you're beloved by mana, right? Like, that's not what happened, right? So it's just, there's,
Yeah, and it's weird because is so confident going into this. He's like, I'm not letting this happen again. I got an idea this time, G. And I was like, yes, it's about damn time. Let's see what you got in that bag, buddy. And then the bag is, mana fucks with me heavy as hell.
My idea is I'm better than you. Like, it's like, that's not an idea. That's
what if, hear me out, I just win.
Yeah. It's that scene in Big Daddy.
That is the best strategy.
Big Daddy, right? Okay, so bottom line for me is, like, if oh God, man, I'm just trying to think about like the ways that this goes down, because it's like they either win here or they lose here, or
they don't win here,
or they're interrupted. You know what I mean? Or they're interrupted and then Xenon like takes a bunch of damage, loses outright, I guess, wholesale if he's gonna retreat. You know what I mean? I don't know, man.
Okay, so what if? Okay. Try my best here. So Dante was defeated. Xenon steps in. Xenon is defeated here. Let's say Xenon. No. Oh. Vanica steps in.
Oh.
Vanica steps in as the. So we already got misdirection in the form of, we thought Dante was number one, and so then we're like, okay, that's why Asta's fighting him. That's why Yami's in here. Okay, so then they win. Oh, this is wild. Xenon steps in. Oh, damn! I didn't expect Xenon to step in because I figured he was the weakest or whatever, right?
Or at least
he's actually the strongest.
Dante. Yeah.
And then or at least weaker than Dante. And then now Xenon defeated, and we're like, well, clearly Xenon's not defeated. I mean, this is Black Clover. He's gonna just come back, but he won't. Vanica steps in and goes, "I'm actually the real,
final boss, because
final boss
sense
here,
because I have Megicula inside of me, or Megicula, which is the first fucking big deal that we heard about in this arc anyway."
Right.
Yeah.
Tied in with Noelle, bringing Noelle as actually like the final blow later.
Yeah.
To win the day across all the fights. I mean, like, you could make this potentially work. I guess maybe.
Isn't that funny how it comes down to like who's gonna deal the final blow? Like, it's always like the fight doesn't matter, the strength, the strategy, the stakes don't matter. It always
I figured it out
to who's gonna deal the final blow.
All right, Kiko, lay it on us.
I looked at the last chapter. So how I talked about how Dante and Vanica are in front of two captains, right?
Yeah.
Dante's actually in front of let me see. It's Noct, so that's not a captain, but it's Noct and
Ripper, right?
And Jack the Ripper, yep. Yeah. And then Vanica's in front of Rill and Charlotte. So she's in front of two captains. But earlier in the chapter, you see groups of 3 storming each. So the first group is Langris, and Nozel, which is missing. So Nozel's jumping out the cut at some point to do something. Nozel is also, it's going to be a 3v1 because then you see Rill and Charlotte against Vanica, but Dorothy Unsworth was with them in the earlier panel, moving in groups of 3.
Okay.
So Dorothy's hitting on their fight, and then the third guy with Jack knocked. The third guy was Fuego Leon is not there.
Yeah.
So there is all groups of 3. They're all going to 3v1, and then you get a new character.
That still makes it awkward because Yuno is supposed to have retribution here. Yuno is supposed to now if Yuno, like the way I'm seeing it now is that Yuno tries to do this, the damage isn't real, it's spatial magic. We find out next chapter or whatever. Then the tide shifts and the confidence that we saw in Yuno and Langris is stripped away by Xenon, shifting the tide in the battle, and now he has the advantage. He's in the better position. You know what I mean? Then the third missing, assailant comes in, Nozel jumps out the cut, and then he's the deciding factor when this. No, and I wouldn't say that. I would say he does something to let be the deciding factor. Okay.
But no. Now that I'm thinking about this, Vanica's devil is the one that cursed Nozel's mom. What the fuck's he doing fighting Xenon? Like, that makes no sense. He needs to go fight Vanica. Like,
so then maybe we do see a little, like, a bit of a switch there.
Switch,
so like the third person that went with one team is going to be the third person that comes in, the cut, in for another team, for an entirely different team.
Right.
So Nozel went with Langris and to fight Xenon, but he broke away to go after Lolo Pichica or to go after Megikula. And then whoever the third one was in Nox group is going to split off and go to the enemy that makes more sense. I don't fucking know. I don't even know why you even introduce it if you're just going to switch them anyway.
And looking at this more here, like reading, I read all this stuff. Like, I read this chapter a second time before, like the chapter before this, 275, but I didn't really remember that Nozel, Fuego Leon, and Dorothy all stopped to deal with the Dark Triad, like the Dark Disciples. There's like a dude with sand magic, so they like have to stop to deal with Small Fry. And it says, when using a diversionary tactic, you still want to send as many people as you possibly can forward to keep progressing. Well, you only hold X amount of people in the back. So, but like 3 captains in the back to deal with some Dark Disciples, they probably can fucking, win that pretty cleanly and then join the fight. So that leaves open to a little bit of switch in who goes where. That makes sense. But still, so who would show up in this fight? It's either Fuego Leon, which probably makes the most sense, but that's weird. But then you got Dorothy Unsworth, who has dream magic, and she could probably just beat everybody, because how do you beat dreams? I don't know.
Maybe her having dream magic is the only thing that Xenon cannot
spatial magic control.
Out of? Spatial magic control.
Out of.
Right? That's the only thing I can see, because if Nozel shows up here, Nozel can't use his magic because he's going to get his magic controlled by Xenon, right? So it's
how did they beat Dorothy in the Elf arc when they were in the dream space? What did they do remember in that moment to beat? Because I'm trying to think. It's like
they stopped having nightmares. They went to see a sleep apnea doctor. I don't know.
Because I'm just trying to think about it, and it's like when you have characters that are like wildly, strong, like Dorothy Unsworth is a character where you can't think about how someone can beat their power. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was obviously, a very specific way that they did it in the Elf arc that we can't remember right now. But like that like uncertainty or whatever is like, when you have a character that strong, you almost have to always have them be preoccupied with something else. Otherwise, your audience is going to ask how come they don't solve every conflict. It's like Franklin Richards inside of Marvel Comics. You know what I'm saying? He's a reality warper. He can literally think things into existence. So why doesn't he just win everything? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
where's Franklin Richards during all of these arcs? Like you ask questions like that, and then you find out, he was in another universe doing so. Like, he was preoccupied. That's why he wasn't there. That's why Superman doesn't show up and win all of Batman's fights. That's why, like things like that.
Gojo's in prison realm.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? You have to find ways to write it to where it makes sense that person doesn't win, instead of we just decided not to use this character, but they're not busy.
And I'm being a little facetious. I just want to say I'm being a little facetious with Dorothy's ability and her capabilities, right? It's like dreaming, obviously attacking somebody's like fucking, mind in this. It definitely seems pretty broken, but is Black Clover. Like easily just be like, well, again,
I was loved more by Nana.
Drinking. I was loved more by the Sleep Number store. Like like bro, like I whatever, bro. At this point, like I've kind of just chalk up Dorothy to like, yeah, this is probably very strong, but there's got to be some kind of way to beat her, and when they bring her in, like
maybe if there were fucking like rules and caveats like introduced in your energy system like early and rehashed constantly throughout the fucking series, we could probably, if we felt like it, find the counter to her shit inside of the energy system. But it's always just going to come down to what it
who's
always
beloved by
comes
Mana.
down to, you know what I mean? And it's like, man, it's like that's fine for Black Clover, I guess, but it's just like once again underwhelming when you think about everything else in the magazine.
But I think at the end of the day, I think we've done enough here today.
I'm good. I'm super good. But despite all of this, remember, guys, we said we loved this chapter in the beginning.
I didn't say I loved it. I said there were some good things.
You're right. I personally, and I do love this chapter, but like it's just at a point
There's
now.
things I like about it, but when you have these cliffhangers over and over again, that's going to be the thing we're going to be mad about most. So
regardless,
it is interesting. Like flip through it. Just flip through it quick.
Yes.
It's pretty hype generally, front to back, pretty hype. It's just that the hype doesn't match the situation. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly.
What it is for me is that
but
as cool, like regardless of what Tabata does, that is cool in any chapter. The things that we criticize are there too. Always, you know what I mean? Whenever he does something cool, the things that we don't like are there with it. So we can love a chapter, but then we have to talk about everything about it. So you know what I mean? Like it's just when those issues are always there, it's just never going to be an entirely 100% wholesome, positive Black Clover review. You know what I mean? Until those things are just not there. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm good. I'm good.
That's it.
All right, cool. All right, getting into My Hero Academia, chapter 295, Tenacious. And I love this chapter.
It was a great chapter.
I have issues with it that we'll get to, but as far like compositionally, directionally, like it felt like a movie, and like this first like page, like really like blackness, wake up, it like reminds like I feel like I see that scene in movies all the time. You know what I'm saying? You know, like Saving Private Ryan. You know what I mean? Like all types of amazing scenes that I can remember just in this first page. And then it keeps that energy throughout the entire chapter. The art is S tier throughout, you know what I mean? Like everything, it feels perfect on the surface.
The art definitely slaps. And like right away, getting this, Deku is like, oh shit, like this thing is happening again. Like I have danger sense. I have spider sense or whatever, right? Like, I did not see this coming at all, right? Like that he was going to get a spider sense quirk. I think this is cool as hell.
This
honestly.
is amazing. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for it either. Some people have some like issues with this, but like I don't know, it's kind of been laid out there already. Like even though I didn't think about Deku getting a spider sense, now that he has one, makes all the sense in the world. You know what I mean? So definitely not weird there.
Well, and I mean, Nox has been making comparisons between Deku and Spider-Man for 5 years, so it's not this isn't new for us. But like, when I saw this, I felt like the wake up comes from Danger Sense, right? Like that vestige is saying wake up to him. Yeah. So like that was really cool to me.
That way to where his spider sense is the previous vestige talking to him directly. Oh wait, no, because his quirk is danger.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying that this wake up is coming from the holder of danger sense, right? Like, sure. That's why it's like kind of manifesting right now, and Deku is able to sense these things, which I mean, that's really cool. Like, because at the end of the day, there's the dialogue that this takes a huge toll on me. This is like fucking my mind up. I'm struggling to keep consciousness because this is happening. Like
probably because there's so much danger everywhere that you're feeling that danger everywhere, but then you have to pinpoint the danger that's aimed directly at you, period. You know what I mean? Sure. Maybe it's like a Jean Grey, you know what I'm saying? Like situation where when she first got her powers, she couldn't turn the voices off. You know what I mean? Like all she could do was hear other people's thoughts, and then over time, with the help of Xavier, she had to train herself in a way to where she could only hear what she wanted to. Maybe it's a situation like that.
Yeah. But regardless, just having this caveat, like I would like, obviously this isn't going to be something that lasts forever, right? Like he will be able to eventually control danger sense, or it's not going to adversely affect him. So he's going to be able to sense danger, freely, which is great, that at least when you get this here, and presumably when you get this in the near future, this could be extremely hard to control, not just easily hand-wavily given to him. There is some training. There is, he does have to hone this skill, which has been the case, even though he got float, like, whatever, for free, boom,
essentially. And who knows what drawback that has, like stamina wise. It's probably a stamina related thing.
And basically what I'm getting to, I mean, it all kind of culminates the fact that like Deku is really, really, really fucked up. Like, how often do you see in a Shonen MC this fucked up? Like, you see Shonen MCs fucked up all the time. But like all limbs broken, the face like bloodied up, like you're using Black Whip out of your mouth because none of your fucking limbs work. Like it's at the end of the day, I don't have, like when I see this, I say, Deku better have extreme consequences for all this, right? But I'm not worried about that because I feel like he's going to, just with the way Horikoshi has been writing this
the story.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like we see main characters get battered up, broken. One arm doesn't work. They're hopping on one leg, and then the start of the next arc comes. A time skip has happened for their healing period, and then they're back to normal. But Deku will get fucked up, get all of the bones in his body broken, get 90% of it healed, and then have Recovery Girl go like, yo, this last 10% is like serious, bro. You know what I mean? And
Recovery Girl's been the catalyst, or not the catalyst, the solution to this issue for a while, but now we have Eri, like full realized Eri, which is a little bit to be worried about with how Horikoshi's going to handle this, because if you can just rewind characters till they're always fixed all the time, like why don't you just go rewind All Might? Why ain't All Might on the scene right now? Like it's like like, so that has to be done well, which I mean I have faith that it will be, because like I feel like there has to be other things with One for All that doesn't allow Eri to just reverse him, right? Like because that would make sense. Like a quirk has been given. This is the only quirk that we know in existence that is given and handed down in this manner. Like you can't reverse something like this, because then why wouldn't you just reverse All Might? Like it has to. Like I have a lot of confidence Deku is going to have long lasting consequences from this, and that it's not going to be Eri.
I actually wonder if the danger sense that Deku is sensing right now is the fact that he fucked up so badly his own body, right? Because think about the chapter. Think like to jump ahead a little bit. So he at the beginning of the chapter, he wakes up, he gets the danger sense, like, oh shit, I feel like in danger. It's very overwhelming. Then scene change, boom, boom with compress, Shigaraki, then Deku comes out of nowhere with a Black Whip, right? Where was the danger? What happened to him? Nothing. What the danger was, do you know all your limbs are broken? Do you know you're dying right now? You know what I mean? Like, that could be it, right?
I like that a lot. Going back to Float real quick before I lose it, just because think about it. When you're talking about how Deku, or at least the detriments that we're seeing inside of the danger detection are very obvious right away. Whereas Float, suddenly he was just floating there. And I made a comment about how it's probably a stamina-based detriment, you know what I mean? Like because like you think about it, especially inside of My Hero Academia, quirks are muscles, you know what I mean? And that's the case in the series that inspired this too. But like, when you think about flight, if it's a muscle, like picture if everyone in the world could fly. You would see the people in the best shape doing aerials and shit. But then your average American is just going to be floating an inch off the ground. You know what I mean? Because flying is hard to do. It's an athletic thing. You know what I mean? Like you have to be in good shape to do it well. You know what I mean? So if that's the case here, and he is floating seemingly easily, you know what I mean? But we could find out that anytime he flies, it takes away from potency from other areas of his combat. You know what I mean? It could be a situation like that.
It could, for sure.
Sure. Man, Mr. Compress though, like, I mean, I know we weren't here for the last one, you know, and like
last chapter was so good.
That was a big one for you, wasn't it, Kiko? Because I know that's your favorite character. So
and it's just like it was just so like to think about all the crazy tight dialogue that he had, like it's just about like Oji Harama or Harima fucking is like acting as Robin Hood, stealing from fucking heroes that, you know, have risen and they're rich, but they're like, you know, their ideals are flawed and whatever, you know, like, so it's a Robin Hood situation. I'm going to give to the fucking rich and give to the poor because he's always, you know, spreading the money out through the slums. You know, he's the bandit king. Like, I loved all that stuff. Like, my family, like, I'm from a line where we expose injustice, right? Like, that just hits so hard, and like righteous blood runs through our veins. Like, I just like, that just hits so hard, bro. Like, it's the bandit king's blood flows through me. Like, I just love Compress so much. And like, soon as this first time I ever saw him, he was my favorite character in the series. Yeah. And obviously, you know, Twice has had so much like focus, and he's so well written that, you know, Compress kind of takes a back seat to all the stuff that Twice was doing. For me, you know, it's like I really started to love Twice as a character that made me think, you know, hey man, this is my new favorite character, and then he's dead, and then now Compress is dead, presumably here, like dying. I mean, actually, I don't know if he's actually dead. I thought he was in the last chapter, but the way that like Mirio is grabbing him by his arm, and it also hurt to see fucking Compress basically flapping in the wind like a piece of cloth.
It looked like he just jawed his ass.
Yeah, well, like Mirio just like he slams him. He grabs him and slams him, and then fucking I'm pretty sure both hands on him. Yeah, like it's a takedown. Look, both hands.
What I took from it on page 5 is that Mirio comes like right through, jaws his shit so that he's like unconscious or discombobulated, and then he's further carrying him after the fact. Like he knocks him out, because that's what Mirio does. Like that's all Mirio could do is just knock you out. You know what I'm saying? So like, why would Mirio not try to knock you out and just like drag you around? Like he had to have hit him first. I feel like. Bow, you know what I mean?
And the way it looks like on that next panel.
Yeah, look at his jaw. Like you could tell that he just got cracked in his shit. You know what I mean? So
I took it as like, you know, just like like you're getting swung, so you're like,
oh, yeah. And I would think that if there wasn't an exaggerated flare on the motion line from, you know, Mirio's arm path. Because if you see the start of the illustration technique,
the left hand,
as soon as that line, that motion line,
like a backhand punch.
Yeah, as soon as it comes as soon as that line overlaps compress, there's an exaggerated spike, as if there was a hit there.
An impact.
That is right. I took it. Yeah, it looks like he just grabs him and like slams him, and then just like keeps running with him while holding him, because like there's a bunch of panels like so there's the one like right on the next page 5, he's like, you know, trying to swing on Spinner, but still has, you know, him in the other, you know, Compress in the other hand.
It does look like he's carrying him, but he still could just be falling from the hit because Mirio's
on page 9 there's a panel where Mirio's coming down, floating down, and still has Compress there. And there's another one even too. It's 11 where he lands. Mirio lands and still has Compress sliding across the ground. So he's apprehended him and holding him down while still trying to defend.
Which is also super fucking tight. Knocked him out, and now he's carrying him as he goes to knock out everybody else. And I just think it's so cool how you get this moment inside of Compress where he's like, the curtain rises on the first and final escape artist performance of Mr. Compress, and you're like, what's he gonna do? No, right away, Mirio, next page, draws his shit. And then he's done. You know what I mean? I love that speed of reaction in My Hero Academia. There's no like Mirio reacts, you know, Compress says some shit, they have like a like it's just we're in the middle of a life or death situation. Like, why should we talk to each other? Like, if we're gonna talk to each other, we're moving at the same time. We're not standing and talking, you know what I mean, for very long at least. I just love the tension, the momentum, the high octane energy inside of this arc, and Mirio is just doing exactly what he needs to do and nothing more. Literally nothing extra. I love that.
But a couple of things on page 3. I guess the first easy one is that panel you're talking about, the curtain rise on the final first and final escape artist performance. Does that not feel like Shoot to you a little bit? Like, I feel like that feels like Shoot floating on the fucking the fist. Really feels like Shoot floating on the fist.
After he's taking all the UP damage and shit.
All the UP damage,
Bro. And you have the fucking threads looking like UP tendril arms.
Swinging at him, tendril arms, yeah. And then the panel right before that, does Compress throw a fucking attack, a circular fucking attack at him that he dodges and it hits the fucking rocks behind him? Is that what's going on there?
I thought that was just his previous step. But it does make sense that he would have tried to do something first, but I legitimately feel like that's just.
But that would be a new Compress attack we haven't seen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
I feel like that's just Mirio, boom, boom, running through. Yeah,
I think you're right.
Or maybe this is Mirio. The first wave of impact on the ground is him dipping into the ground. The second one is him coming out of it to knock out Compress. Right?
Yeah.
So because his foot is kind of like below the surface level, you know what I mean? When he's coming out to swing on him in page 4.
Yeah.
So it looks like he like dove in and then dove back out to get the momentum for the cross. You know what I mean?
It does. It does look like that.
I bet that's exactly what it's the permeation shoot, right? Like if he jumps, okay, say he's running this way and just horizontally along the ground, right? Yeah. And you come to a fucking, a mountain or whatever. If you jump into it and use your permeation to shoot you out the other side.
You get more you get more speed, more momentum, more force. Yeah.
But he on page 3.
Yeah.
There's the left splash. So he jumped into the earth down and out of the spike towards us, right?
Yeah, that is exactly. There's two splashes. There's the in splash.
There's the down
splash
on the left.
What page on 3?
It's still 3. Yep, it's that tiny panel. Upper left.
I'll try and put it up to the screen here, but like the left one is down. And
into the ground,
and then towards us is out towards us on the right.
Yeah. That's super tight.
Yes, sir. And so then going into page 4, then we know that he dipped back in again to get the momentum from the permeation to come out and swing on him. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Very good. Very good.
Visual storytelling, man. Visual storytelling. And see, like, and I want to call that visual storytelling because in a situation like this, where you had to zoom into the panel to see the action that was taken, we didn't get exposition there. We didn't get internal monologue from Mirio, like, an attack's coming for me. I'm going to jump into the ground here and pop out, here. We don't get nothing like that. It's just he does it, and it's there in the art if you look for it. You know what I mean? I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got Compress doing all sorts of tight shit, right? Like he's compressing fucking Spinner and Shigaraki and throwing them away from the conflict, but also not uncompressing Dabi and leaving a compressed Dabi in Spinner's fucking, cloak or whatever, scarf.
Right.
That's pretty fucking sick because like Dabi, I feel like they're like, Compress made a conscious decision, like, we want to get Dabi out of here. He's probably going to stay and, like, do some dumb shit to, like, prove his point, and we still need him as a piece.
Yeah.
And like, he's really going to, I don't know, make sure Shoto dies. Endeavor really feels the full brunt. Like, he's trying to, like, finish his motivations here at any cost.
Yeah.
But he's still such an important piece that Compress decided on his own. We still Shigaraki, not we, because I'm out of here. I'm dead. Yeah. Shigaraki's going to need him, and I need to save him for later and hold him down till Compress actually dies. So that's going to be the thing too. Like if we see Compress die, Dabi pops out and says, "No, what the fuck? I'm not done," and tries to like go back into the fray.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say because like they're being, they're escaping right now.
Right.
Like
you're trying to eliminate redundancy in the storytelling, right? Because it's like if you put all of this effort into the escape and then they don't get away and then they have to pop back out and then fight again, how is that fight going to be any different than the fighting that we've already seen before they decided to retreat? Like, why are you bringing that?
And I'm not even saying they. I'm saying just Dabi. Like, no, my shit's unfinished. I'm going back. But like since All for One has taken over and gave the radio wave command to Nomu, we're leaving. Take him and leave. Take me or him or whatever we're saying. This being is take me and get the fuck out of here. And it was tight to think that, or to see that he's saying, hey, Shigaraki's still incubating. So this 75% is going to become 100% at some point. And that like we need to live to fight again. And if Shigaraki was actually the one in control right now and could give radio wave commands to these Nomu, that he would probably still stay and try to fight, so it was this all made a lot of sense to the end and like finale on how this goes out. And I mean, I mean, just with what I'm saying, I just have to say the last page, double page panel really is a very beautiful way to send off this arc. And Knox, I know when you read this scan before I read it, you're like, this is going to be your chapter because of the All for One stuff. And it is. And I really like, what's happening. But next chapter is actually my real chapter. I promise. Once we get background information on what the world's doing about this shit. Maybe it's not next chapter. Maybe it's 2 chapters, 3 chapters. It's on the horizon. What I want is coming. And I'm excited for that. But yes.
But it's got to feel really cool for you to see, that Shigaraki, obviously is taking a back seat, or is seeming to take a back seat to All for One narratively, at least in the latter or in the final, act of this.
A lot can still happen with this, of course.
And a lot of it could just be Shigaraki is so broken physically and probably mentally that it's allowing All for One to peek through a lot more intensely. You know what I mean? It could be a situation where Shigaraki is essentially just not a person right now, so All for One can be there. It could be a situation like that, but no cap, even though like we were arguing earlier in season 2, I prefer Shigaraki as a villain, you prefer All for One. I didn't see a situation where it made sense that All for One would be the main figure again. But the way that it's being handled right now, if it does go into that, I'd be super fucking cool with that.
And I just want to say, preferred isn't okay. I like Shigaraki for where he is, right? And I think Shigaraki's a perfectly good villain, and he's serving his purpose greatly. Horikoshi's doing a great job of where he's inserted Shigaraki to be to fill his role.
You were just making a point about the lack of charisma compared to All for One.
For big stuff that's super far off, I felt like Shigaraki doesn't fit the bill for that unless he evolves as a character, which obviously can happen.
And we've been seeing throughout the entire series, so
exactly.
So he's going to reach that point.
So it's not impossible for Shigaraki to take on some of this manipulation, charisma, all this stuff that All for One has that makes him really feel like an endgame villain where Shigaraki feels like a Mahito versus a Getu again.
And so Shigaraki doesn't have those traits that you feel like All for One embodies in a final villain and that you think should be there for Shigaraki too. But what if Kohei just goes, hey, those traits you're looking for in Shigaraki that you hope he fills the shoes of inside of All for One, what if he doesn't need those traits at all and he becomes his own entirely endgame boss villain with his own traits that are just written better, and now he doesn't need to feel like All for One in that final boss position.
And that definitely can happen. That I'm not saying that that's not possible. It's just that it's just weird. No matter what, there's no way you can explain a 200-year-old being that's been transferring himself by body
to
over
body.
And then one day he's just like, no. I actually am going to have a successor, and he is actually going to take up the mantle. Even though I've been doing this to people for 200 years, 100 years, I don't know, whatever it is. This isn't my first body. I didn't start off as Potato Face McGee, right? I had a real body at one time. I probably had another real body after that, or somebody else's body, whatever. But the fact that All for One needs to take one for all and assimilate it within himself just will never, to me, feel like Shigaraki can be the end boss unless Shigaraki totally takes control of All for One and actually becomes All for One in a sense, that's the only way, I feel
that'd be cool to see,
and that can happen, and we can really see a Tartarus jailbreak arc. I mean, we've been talking about it, but I've seen a few people that thought that wasn't probable, that's not supposed to happen, and it doesn't really make sense for the story. When I'm no, I feel like that makes all the sense in the world, because Shigaraki and All for One do have beef, no matter what. They need to have
beef
conflict
that
with each other.
Shigaraki doesn't even know about, because he doesn't know the role that All for One has been playing in the background over Shigaraki's character. Shigaraki is very ignorant to everything that All for One has done. When Shigaraki finds all that stuff out, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be smoke.
Spinner's All for One was talking to me with your body, right? You better go do something about that, right?
On the subject of Spinner, Spinner's internal monologue in this chapter is fantastic, and then immediately after this bit, it's like there's a lump of lead deep down in my heart, providing an endless source of rage that bursts out. if only you'd remember that rage. And he puts the hand back on Shigaraki, and that panel on page 7 of like these beautifully drawn like lizard gecko hands with the claws and like the hand over Shigaraki's face, and like, just fantastic. Just fantastic.
The writing is never going to disappoint in the moments that Kohei knows the characters need to perform in. Like, this is literally his bag, you know what I mean? And I think going back to what Kiko was saying earlier about the twice and compressed situation inside of his preference for characters, I feel like it's all planned by Kohei, because Kohei has these characters. He knows that is his specialty, is character writing. So when you have these characters that have been mysterious forever, when we finally learn about those characters, it's going to be one of the best scenes we've seen in the series, because that's what Kohei has been waiting for as a storyteller, is to give us these character moments. You know what I mean? So these are always going to slap when we find out more about a character we know nothing about in this series. Like, it's always going to be spectacular.
That's exactly what happened to me. It's like, okay, character design, quirk, like, I love Compress so much, right away, and he has done like a lot of low key like hype shit, right? Like with Chisaki, you know, like give me that arm back type shit. Like,
but Kohei's like, wait till you find out about this. Wait till I tell you about this motherfucker, though.
And Compress has done some low key type shit, but like I just always wanted more from Compress because I liked him so much, character design, quirk, whatever. But then it's like, or Koshi's like, hey, how about I just give you twice instead, and you're gonna like him just as much, even though you didn't plan to like him just as much. Like, that's such good character writing that he sold me on a character that I, initially was like, okay, I want this one, and these other ones are cool, but like I really want this one. He's like, no, but I'm gonna give you what you thought you didn't need over here. Yeah, exactly over here. It was very it was a great journey to be on myself for these characters, and we know that obviously character writing is his strength through the roof. This is what he does the best. So like, this just makes me look forward to Spinner, and I know your whole Spinner shit, and the only thing that was weird to me though is he's like, Spinner's your most loyal subject or whatever, your most loyal supporter, and then I was like, this feels weird to me. He supported Stain and is only running with him because like Shigaraki has promised to like take up Stain's ideals and take up his mantle, which I mean, I feel like most villains,
he can still be the most loyal to Shigaraki, even though he's literally a Stain reskin, you know what I mean? Like, comparatively, especially, like when you look at the rest of the League of Villains, Dabi definitely don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying? Toga really only cared about Twice for the most part. Spinner is the last one left that's loyal, even if it's not die.
I think everyone else has their own motivation, kind of like tangential to the League. Where like Spinner's motivation is the League of Villains. You know what I mean? So he's the biggest stan. He's a stan for the team. Where everyone else is like, maybe they are more important to the team or using the team, but like their primary goal isn't the team per se.
I want to bring up this. I want to bring up page 6, because doesn't the typesetting feel weird in that middle panel?
It does.
Very
much feels weird.
Like the dialogue bubbles do not match the words that are said, and obviously you can just say that the Japanese characters just take up more space to say the same thing.
But that doesn't explain the one on the right. I feel so sick that I want to vomit. Like there's plenty of room to fit that, and it's still falling out the bottom of the speech bubble.
It's a very weird. Like, it makes me wonder, what did they leave out of this dialogue? You know what I mean?
Well, to give the most benefit of the doubt to the translators and the scantillators or whatever the official ones here, you could say that what we're seeing in the middle of page 6, the words, the English, I feel so sick, blah blah blah, but I also those are not the dialogues in the bubbles. The bubbles, this middle panel is the scene with Shigaraki talking to Eggman, but those words are not the bubble words.
You're right.
Those words are superimposed over the scene.
Yes.
That's what I would guess.
And there's a different conversation being had. That's actually exactly what it is, and I'm just an idiot.
Literally. I agree with you. When I'm looking at this, I'm like, this looks so off. It looks so bad to be.
It feels so obvious now. Like, That's
you
exactly
could put the text in different spots to make it feel better, though, right? Like it doesn't have to be overlaying fucking other speech bubbles. That's
if anything, you could say this is a poor choice of panel on Kohei's part, right? On Horikoshi's part, to pick this panel where you're superimposing text, presumably of Spinner with an internal monologue here.
And then putting it over dialogue bubbles where text should be there. So
it's just a bad formatting choice. It's just a bad choice in terms of what we're talking about here.
But I want to go back to Compress real quick, just because I keep looking at these 2 pages, 4 and 5, and just like how much Kohei fits in action wise into such a small space without it. And I know that we complain about like how his big AoE battle damage it feels too congested. It feels like the pages don't breathe. But like inside of like situations like this, where you have a moment happening and Kohei writes everything that could every choice, everything that a character could possibly do, they try to fit it in, before, like when Mirio punches Compress, and he's like, shit, my plan's over, but I'm gonna use my quirk to do some shit real quick before I lose consciousness, and it's actually over. They try to do everything they can with their quirk before the end of their moment. You know what I mean? You fit so much, and it's not just powers. It's not, I'm gonna let an attack off, I'm gonna throw, I'm gonna do everything I can before no, it's like defense. Like on the defense side of things, on the strategy side of things, you're fitting as much actions per minute or whatever APMs as you can. You know what I mean? Before you're taken
StarCraft
out. Huh? StarCraft. But that's just so cool. You know what I mean? How inside of a situation where things are going so poorly for a character, Kohei still writes them like getting the last that they can out all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes me feel like, I mean, since you're using APM here, just like in video games, right? Like so you're dead, right? Like, so FPS, you're pinched in a wall, right? Like you could try to just turn your back and run, but you're just gonna get shot in the back and die anyway. So you have to just turn, you just have to shoot your way out of it, and maybe some miracle happens and you can get out. Or like a MOBA, it's like, okay, they're ganking me and they're coming from both sides. All I can do is fight my way out. If I turn and run, I just die with no resistance, right? So like it's there's a huge piece of strategy when you've already lost or are already dead or are going to lose, you're about to take big damage, and you either in the face of adversity try to run and still try to like save yourself and protect yourself, or you're already done and you're going to do the most you can with what you got, and you just are going to go down
swinging.
Going out how you got to go out, right? Like,
but
you got to make shit happen before you're going down.
Yeah, and it always happens like that as far as like, I'm going to blow myself up, or I'm going to shoot my ultimate attack and then die, or something like that. I'm going to try to do as much damage to you as I can before I'm taken out. Whereas obviously Compress has people that he's trying to protect, so he's playing the defensive role as far as everything he can do before he's defeated. If his friends weren't there to be protected, who knows how he would have went out trying to defend against Mirio. But it's just so cool seeing technical application of your ability used in a last stand format in a way that's not an outward attack before you're defeated. It's so many other things over here not related to like fighting the opponent in front of you before you're taken out by them. That's just really fucking cool, dude.
Right.
But the last, or I said I had a complaint.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet. Yeah, I was wondering.
I said I had a complaint. It's at the very end because, and it goes back to, this is not something that is a problem with My Hero Academia at all. It literally goes back to like our Black Clover segments where I say you kind of have to forget, other manga, that other manga exists in order to read Black Clover, or at least I do, because I'm constantly thinking about other manga that do the same scenes better. Now in this, we have a direct, like, at least I have a direct comparison between Deku and Yuji here. Yuji, in his final words with Mahito a couple chapters ago, is like, I don't care. I'm gonna kill you. You're going to come back as in another form. I'm going to kill you again. I don't give a fuck, bro. It's my job to kill you. I am going to keep killing you until my body cannot move anymore. That blew me. I was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? And then here makes all the sense in the world that Deku, after everything Shigaraki has done, would see a look in his eye that he saw and go, you'd look like you needed saving. But like, me going into this chapter after reading Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm like, we have one MC over here that says, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna kill you every time. And then you have Deku. Shigaraki has his damage is equal to Mahito's at this point. As far like they both have wiped out random civilians in large quantities. They both have killed important characters to the story. At least severely maimed or significantly injured real hardcore main protagonist characters. You know what I mean? They're both equally unforgivable in the eyes of the main characters. But Deku goes, you look like you needed saving. Yuji goes, I'm going to kill you regardless of how many times you come back. I prefer the Yuji scene. So when I see this at the end of this My Hero Academia chapter, I feel underwhelmed. You know what I mean? So that was literally the only
complaint. It's funny that this is a weird little impasse, I think, for me and you personally, because like I feel like I'm usually the one to give that critique where you're usually the one to give the defense that I'm going to give is that these aren't curses. This is a human being.
That's right.
He is this. There's a symbiotic relationship, and he can see that Shigaraki's being manipulated and used. Like this isn't Mahito. This isn't Mahito.
Absolutely.
So like it's fine, and I get why you say it's underwhelming because you know at the end of the
comparatively,
day,
like there's nothing wrong with this inherently to the story of My Hero Academia. It makes all the sense in the world, but just coming out of a very similar situation in Jujutsu Kaisen in a scene that I preferred more makes this just feel less to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
It's amazing.
It's
amazing.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It makes all the sense.
It makes all the sense.
This is exactly who Izuku Midoriya is, right? Like, this is exactly who he is.
To me, it's actually very beautiful.
Yeah.
You know. And to tie it back to what we were saying before about who is the actual villain of this story. This, like, I would say, if anything, this proves it is not Shigaraki. Shigaraki is not the bad guy.
He's a victim of his environment.
He's a victim. Yeah, he's a victim of circumstance, and All For One has taken advantage of him since he was a child. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, damn, I thought this was very powerful.
Has prayed and groomed him, just like Mei and Wee Wee.
So now what's the situation? So then what's the future situation, right? Shigaraki is redeemed? No, because Deku already said,
probably
I can't
not
forgive you for what you did, regardless of the situation. That's very clear that you're being controlled, you're being manipulated. This isn't what you maybe want to do, it's what you think you want to do, but it's all because of that grooming. Deku is thinking about all of those things, but still says, I still can't forgive you for this.
That means
Shigaraki's definitely dying. And
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so?
I feel like Shigaraki, like, this means that Deku says Shigaraki's going to Tartarus no matter what. Like, I'm going to make sure he lives. I'm going to make sure he gets help. I'm going to get him into, he's got to be locked up. He's got to be restrained. He cannot be out in the world, obviously, because this guy's fucked up.
So we're looking at reformation inside of Shigaraki? That's how
No. He doesn't have to be reformed. He just has to, his life has to be saved because... Like, I mean, it's like a moral quandary. You have, like, should we be executing every prisoner that goes to prison?
Right.
No, of course not. Like, they're still people. They made mistakes. They probably, have a lot of other, like, environmental issues that led them to be in this situation in the first place. So, like, morally, we can't just start fucking stepping on every bug that we see or every. We can't kill every bad person.
It's a little different.
See, then you get into a argument of what's really happening here. Like, is Shigaraki the actual mass murderer here, or is he just a tool that fucking All For One has been using since he was 5 years old or whatever? Whatever after he killed his family, 7, 8, whatever it is. But so I feel like Deku wants to save him and will not kill him and may even die. He's not going to die because he's the main character, but he would die to save Shigaraki's life and separate him for all for one. Like that. That's his moral positioning, and I don't think Deku's ever going to waver on it. Like that's just what. That's what a hero MC would do, for me.
Yeah, for sure. So, and now that after the conversation we've had, and obviously after thinking about it a little bit more, it's clearly not a complaint that I have in this scene because it's not even something that I necessarily.
Just the Jujutsu is a better story. That's what it is. That's what you just said.
It just felt better. The scene felt. I understand the differences in the scene. You beautifully, painted the differences between Shigaraki and Mahito, and why it makes more sense for Yuji to say the things that he says to Mahito versus the things that Deku says to Shigaraki. So I totally get that. So it's really not a complaint. It was literally just like a side by side comparison that felt better over here. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
and there's a lot to be said that Hiro feels like Horikoshi wants to go 1,000 chapters or whatever. He wants to go a really long time, 800 chapters. Like, and you feel like Jujutsu, it's like you feel like a 300-400 chapter is probably even maybe too many. Like, it feels like that's a good sweet spot for Jujutsu. So it's like this part in Jujutsu is probably farther along than where we are in Hero, even though obviously the chapters are 200 chapter difference.
Right.
So like,
narratively, we're farther along in the story of Jujutsu Kaisen than we are in My Hero Academia, despite the chapter difference.
And you know, as much as you love Western comics and heroes and all that shit, Jujutsu Kaisen is that's your real shit. Under it all, like that's what we. I mean, just as manga readers have always loved is the Jujutsu Kaisen story, whatever the Hunter story. Like that's just
moral ambiguity in the main profession and conflicting, outlooks inside, wavering outlooks inside of the main character. You know what I mean? Like Deku
we just prefer that type of story.
Deku is someone who is going to be, as far as his convictions go and his outlook on the world, it's going to stay.
It's going to be a hero no matter
the
what.
Entire and regardless of how he grows or changes, he can still grow and change, but he'll still keep that core ideal. Yuji's outlook entirely on himself and just the world in general can change based on his experience. You know what I mean? So that complexity is always just going to speak to me more. But
yes.
I think
that's what I got, man.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Nick, do you have anything else that you wanted to say about My Hero Academia?
No, that's all I had as well.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Getting into the piece de resistance. One Piece. Wow. Chapter 999. One away from the big 1K. Gentlemen, how do we feel?
I'm ready for 1,000. I can't believe we are getting a literal color double spread that is actually one half of a double color spread. You know what I mean?
Quadruple spread. A quadruple spread.
Quadruple spread.
Quadruple. But that man,
I feel like I need to buy. I know. I feel like I need to buy physical copies just to get this right. Like,
bro, this is going. Whenever this is available for me physically,
to print off,
print off. I don't know, but it's going. Right, you see where it's going. I can't with the perspective
on the wall.
It's going in this. There we go, right here. But yeah, man, this is cold, bro. I love the man. I got to turn my head. I love the color palette. I love the gold that's used. Frankie is my favorite thing about this spread. I think inside of his outfit and just like his presence as for me the focal point of the image. He looks so fucking cool. Look at that giant beluga whale in the background, that gold ass whale.
Oh, that does look sick.
I don't even know if that's a beluga whale, but that looks fucking cool as shit.
A golden whale. I did not see that before. That looks tight.
That golden whale is hard, bro.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the one with the stripes under it is a humpback whale. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't try. Moby Dick had it though. The Whitebeard ship, Moby Dick.
Yeah.
And real Moby Dick. Presumably.
Is it just me or does Zoro look like he just came out of a Yonko assassination with that big ass jacket on?
He's got the coat. Sanji don't got no coat.
He looked like a king, boy.
To me, his eye is low. His one eye is low. He looked like he woke up out of a drunken stupor to me. Like, fuck, I gotta be on this cover. Fuck.
Doesn't he always?
All right. Let me go. Let me get ready to take this picture. Yeah.
Exactly right. Sanji's best friends with this fucking, horned fish he's gonna cook for some reason.
He looks like he's about to cook the fuck out that fish, and the fish don't know.
Usopp has 2 baseball gloves on for some reason. I don't know why he looks like he's about to catch a fucking home run here. Like,
I love Robin. I love her shirt. I love the color of it, and I just love.
She looks like 10 years younger than I would normally imagine her being.
Yeah. She's holding, like texts of some kind, ancient
parchments,
history, parchments. Yeah. Some very fitting for her character.
Chopper got the chalice and the rosary. Brooke, wait.
Chopper's got 1,000 on his shirt. That's not Brooke.
That's not Brooke. No. It's Brooke's hand, bro. It's Brooke's hand with the saber.
And then it goes right?
Into a.
That's Gold Roger's skeleton.
Oh,
look at the mustache.
Shit.
With the mustache,
yeah, bro, it is. And he's got the He's got the Jolly Roger too, with the hat on.
No, but actually though, you see that is Brooke's hand holding the sword.
Yeah, that's what
behind
I'm
the head.
saying. Like that's why I thought it was Brooke.
So maybe
Brooke
not.
looks crazy.
Maybe I'm lying.
No, because I think we just can't
Brooke,
see
though.
Brooke because it's not complete. We need the other half, right? So like we'll see.
Well, I think Brooke is
half.
like behind it, like joking that that's him.
Oh,
right?
that's his head.
Yeah,
but that is Roger's skull.
that is
though,
Roger's
fam.
skull.
Like,
Yeah,
what the
yeah,
That's Roger's mustache.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Love that.
Yeah. Cool. Good stuff.
Love that. How do we feel going into the chapter with this flashback of Ace and Yamato?
Love the flashback.
Being bros,
really
trading blows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
What
I refuse to believe somebody this strong is not the fucking like commander of this fucking whole army.
Wasn't that
like,
sick? Wasn't that sick?
Yes.
I thought it was interesting on page 5, I guess. But we have this like, what? That's Kaido's daughter, and then the panel immediately after,
he's like,
Yamato's like, like, so I wonder, like, is that Yamato like, you just misgendered me, you piece of shit, or whatever?
That's what I took from it. Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, like, that's a major thing that Oda is playing with here is like how much Yamato cares about that proper gendering. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a guy. Address me as a guy. I'm gonna be pissed whenever you don't. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's cool. And I love how Oda had amazing dialogue still planned for Ace so long after his execution.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought Ace was just done. I knew that he was still going to be an important factor, obviously, when he showed back up in the story in flashback form, but I was not ready for Oda to just deliver such powerful, you know, like just such awesome dialogue for him still, like this long after he's been killed. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how long... Like what kind of patience do you got to have to sit on that for that to sit on anything that Oda sits on for this long, bro? Like, man.
So I'm glad I got a new layout with a moon in my zero or my O zero. Jeez, a moon in my O in my zero. But page 7. They're cheersing under a full moon, and they've hammered it home. Full moon on 2 panels back to back on page 7, right? And I know Nox and Eagle are the moon guys.
Usually,
here, but like,
usually, I'm gonna let you have this one though. Go crazy, bro.
You let me have this one. Okay.
Let's see how you do.
Anytime in One Piece when like something very important like for fate is happening. I mean, maybe not every time, but like. Full moon is in the background. Moon is involved, right? Like you always think back, like to me, the biggest one I always think back to is like Kureha is looking at the fucking full moon and says, "This is the most fitting day possible that my like doctor's son is going with the future pirate king."
Yes,
like
bro,
declares that he's the pirate king way back then while staring at the fucking full moon.
Yeah, you always bring that one up, and that one always gets me. Like, there's a lot of moon references. Obviously in One Piece because it's so important, and obviously I know that as the moon guy of this show, but like that scene in particularly, like whenever you bring that scene up, it's like I'm like, damn, bro, like what a line of dialogue, fam. Like for somebody who's 144 years old who knows a fucking shit ton a lot about the world, among the most like knowledgeable people on the planet, right? Like Kureha doesn't say fucking baseless shit like that for no reason, right? Like that's very, very important. But very important.
Yeah, I mean, they're cheersing. That's the more important one to me, is the cheers with the moon directly above it, like the bottles clanging with the moon above it. It's just like this meeting was fate. This was supposed to happen. This is what spurs on future events. And obviously it's talked about later in the chapter where Yamato's like, no. Of all the pirates, as numerous as stars in the sky, basically, pirates in the sea, you met the one who's Ace's brother who orchestrated all this that got you to me right now. Like, this is not a coincidence. This is fucking fate. Like, it's so fucking important.
These are the moments that bring these arcs to legendary status when you look at them in completion, like in a bird's eye point of view. Like, it's moments like that where you go, I don't give a fuck what you wanted from the action in this arc, what you wanted from your favorite characters, whatever agenda you're trying to push, or the reasons you come to One Piece. And all of that stuff can still be there and is always there in One Piece, regardless of the level of intensity that you'd prefer it to be at. Regardless, it's always there. But it's these moments like this that really show you like what these arcs are supposed to do in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
Chills, bro. That line of dialogue with the clank, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think they talk about I think they. Yeah, you did bring it up just now, Kiko, about the thing that Thomas said. Yeah.
The fate, yeah. But another thing, though, it also to me feels like, paying homage to Dragon Ball a little bit, because the second panel after the clank that still has the full moon in it, they're at the top of like a plateaued, like flat top mountain, like Piccolo and Gohan, which also sat eating food together under a fucking full moon after Gohan had the tail pulled out and couldn't transform anymore. So like it really feels very similar to Gohan and Piccolo eating together under the full moon on that plateaued thing.
I love when the references are subtle, so obvious once you point them out, but like not obvious from the surface level. Like when they surprise you, it's like, fuck yeah, dude. But like, and people complain about the obvious ones, like Naruto and Kurama, blah, blah, this is a Naruto reskin. Like those ones are cringy or whatever. But these ones that are hidden, you know what I'm saying? That you can maybe get, you know what I mean? Like those always slap so fucking hard, bro. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, and another quick little thing too is Ace made it to Wano younger than Luffy did. And I because he says Luffy isn't going to set out for a few years. Now, you could take at minimum 2, right? Minimum is 2 years, right? So Ace sets out when he's 17, the same as Luffy. They both set out at the same time. So Ace is at most 19 here. And I would say it's probably, when you say a few, I always kind of think few as 3. But regardless, Luffy is 19, the same as, I guess technically Ace could be 19, but I want to say Ace is 18, because when he's saying a few, I feel like he's not going out for 2 more years, right? Yeah. No, that is right, because it's at minimum 2 years, because they went sail 3 years apart. So Ace is farther along in the Grand Line than Luffy is at this time, which I also thought I had more evidence to that, because it looks like when Ace's crew on page 4 are like, that's Kaido's daughter. I thought the animal all the way to the right was a mink, but then which means he landed on Zoe before Luffy did too, which would make sense, but then the panel on page 5, upper left, it doesn't look like a mink. It looks like an actual, like, like leopard, panther, panther, puma, whatever it is. Yeah. But regardless, I still thought it was cool to mention that Ace really did more with not very much of a crew. He had a bunch of these no-name people, even though. So it's like, that was the other thing too. Like, is this the Spade Pirates, or was this like Whitebeard Pirates as well? But I don't know. I really took this as Spade Pirates before he joined Whitebeard, because later in the chapter when he's talking to Whitebeard, like, hey, we need to go back and do this shit. I've already told you why. Like, we haven't filled the second commander spot in so long, and we gave it to you because that was Odin's spot. And like, but we need to go and stop him from doing this. Like, that's all later on. Ace already has this knowledge. He's already known what happened. So like, I just kind of assumed that he joined. Another, and that those were Spade,
Another piece of evidence, page 6, I believe it is, in the Shonen, in the Viz translation, top right panel. Ace says, "You can't choose your father, Yamato," and choose your father is in bold, because Ace did choose his father. Ace joined Whitebeard and basically said, Whitebeard, like, Oyaji, like, you're my dad, right? Everyone says Whitebeard's the dad, right? So like, this kind of must be before he joins Whitebeard's crew, right?
Yeah. Hey, that works. I'll take that.
It's a little hard to fully confirm that, but like, I see where you're going. And I think this is partial evidence. Yeah,
and it makes sense, like, that Ace with the Spade Pirates would just be, adventuring aimlessly. Whereas like Whitebeard now, he has a goal, he has like meaning, he has things he's got to do. Obviously, Blackbeard kills Sachi and he has to go chase Blackbeard. But like that, even still before that happens, because clearly this is before that happens, because Blackbeard's on the ship saying, you should go take out a big shot. I get why you would want to do that. So like, it makes sense that like, that hasn't happened yet. But even still, like, once Ace joins Whitebeard, like, he has a purpose now. He never had a purpose really, other than to like rid himself of his like Gold Roger shadow, whatever.
Yeah, and I think that goes. So, I think that with Nick saying the scene, you can't choose your father, Yamato, knowing that Ace had chosen his father. I think that this is still Ace after he's joined Whitebeard's crew, but he's saying this right now because even though he's adopted Whitebeard as his new father, he still knows Gold Roger is his father. Yeah. And he's telling Yamato, it could go both ways. You can't choose regardless of who you want to be, who you want to attach yourself to, whatever, your father is still your father. Just like my father is still my father. Don't forget where you came from, but like you can do shit, but your dad's still your dad. Yeah.
Or don't let your actual biological father or any biological relatives hinder you in any way. Like you could still be who you want to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I was trying to end, and you wrapped that up beautifully. Thank you.
One more piece of evidence. One more piece of evidence.
Yeah.
Page 3, bottom panel, Ace and Yamato punching each other, coming to a clash.
Yeah.
Look at Ace's back. No tattoo.
Oh.
No tattoo. Yeah, so it is before. That's firm.
Wait, what page?
3. The very first page, technically. I mean, it's the first. It's 3. It's 3 technically. So but
no
like
tattoo
the very
on
first
the
page of actual chapter.
On the back now. No, it would still be there despite the flames and like the action. And this isn't like a zoomed in portrait of Ace's back, but still, I feel like Oda could have put that there if he needed to.
Could have.
Yeah.
No, he definitely would have too, because I remember like when Van Auger shoots him in the forehead and in the chest, and he has like smoldering hole in his back. Yeah. He still had Whitebeard on his back with the smoldering hole in the Whitebeard symbol. Manga? Yeah, I guess that's hard to say. I don't remember it in the manga. I only remember it in the anime.
Yeah, because in the anime, it'll.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
It's Toei. You can only have X amount of trust for Toei.
Yeah. And even this page 3, I would say, is like not 100% evidence, because also you can join the crew and get a tattoo later. You know what I mean?
Later.
Or as you're kind of hinting at, Nox, you could always just not draw it, because like.
There's a lot more going on, and it's
there's a lot of stuff going on. You're pretty zoomed out or whatever. So, but I don't know.
I like that though.
Interesting.
I like that though. That's a good spot.
I like that we really comprehensively try to think of all the possibilities and verbally talk about them and say like, hey, these are all these things that could possibly happen. Because at the end of the day, we could just be like, no, he didn't have it on his back. Fuck that, right?
Yeah. Like, and at the end of the day, it's Oda, and Oda is notorious for leaving clues in the art, you know what I mean? And we should assume at this point that nothing is done accidentally. You know what I mean? In the story, either on the verbal side or on the
which is wild to say in a 1,000-chapter manga. Like if anybody gets an accident, it's Oda, right? Like but we still don't believe that accidents are happening. Like
exactly.
You totally believe that every subtlety in any panel is fully fucking on purpose and means something probably far greater than we can realize at the time. You know, that's the beauty of One Piece. And that's just how it is.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god. So wait. That whole time we've been in the... Okay, another thing I want to say. I love that Oda does not forget how to draw a single character in his story, regardless of how long it's been since they've been in the story. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you have Jujutsu Kaisen, where I was talking about how it feels like Gege forgot how to draw Todo. Because Todo got like a nose job suddenly, and like all of these things. And Gege has specifically said, whether it was a joke or not, coming out of Hidden Inventory... I don't think I remember how to draw Yuji, you know what I mean? So like that was funny at the time, you know what I mean? But like thinking about it now, it's like, man, Oda has thousands of characters that mean something in this story, that are constantly showing back up, and they take 3, 5, 7 year breaks from the story and come back and they're like no difference at all. Look at this Whitebeard, you know what I mean? Like when I looked at this like Whitebeard and this old Whitebeard, and I know that he just drew young Whitebeard like a year ago or whatever. When I saw like old Whitebeard, this panel on page 12 where it's just like his eye, I made a promise, and the ellipses, like I'm just looking at that and I'm just like every single detail is like perfectly the way Whitebeard is supposed to be drawn, you know what I mean? Like that's just crazy. You know, like to me.
That is a 45-year-old mangaka versus a 25-year-old.
That's true too.
And I don't know exactly how old Gege is, but roughly 25. Like
we know Oda's probably could be his dad. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that.
And if Tatsuki Fujimoto's only like 28, I know I joke about him being my uncle, even though I'm older than him. Like if Fujimoto's only 28, I'm picturing like these new like Gege 23, 24 with talent just bursting out of their fucking being to be able to do this at their age. I mean, who knows? Maybe maybe they're in the 30s, but like
but
regardless,
even with the
Oda's
age
been doing
difference.
this for 25 years, and was on Kenshin, and was doing one shots in the 90s. Like Oda is Oda is the god, right? Like you got that's just how it is.
Yeah. Man, even down to like the anatomy and the proportions, everything.
No, you're right.
So
no, you're right. It's that is Whitebeard. And but that the one eye panel, I didn't really think about it either until you look at it. But like the crow's feet in his eye, the vein in his fucking face, bro. Like,
regardless of the perspective, it's like we barely get any of Whitebeard's face here, and we know that like.
You would never mistake it.
Yeah,
you would never mistake it.
Like, and that just goes into like Oda's character designing in general. But I mean, still, bro, man.
You can barely see his do-rag. There's like a tiny little piece here and there.
Take this. There's probably this exact same panel somewhere else in One Piece 300 chapters ago. Put it next to this one. I bet you it's the exact same fucking drawing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. Yeah. Crazy. But.
Oh
my god! And then coming out of the flashback, Marco crying, remembering everything as he's flying. This is gonna slap, bro. In the anime, whoo boy, that's gonna go crazy in the anime, fam. Wow.
Let me just look at this here.
I did not notice those tears. For the record, I did not notice those. That's lovely.
Oh yeah, we're shooting straight up. He's got it in the Phoenix form, the little tears coming out.
Phoenix form.
Yeah. Well, and there's a bunch of tears because there's like stars, like the
Yep.
What are these characters? So it's like Paco. I don't know what that is for the drip. Maybe that's not even a ha. I don't even know. I'm trying to read the kana on the Marco.
Where are you looking?
On the Marco panel where he's crying.
Yeah, the tears panel.
Yeah.
What's the sound effects?
It's like hot pa something.
Poto.
There it is. Yeah. It's a ho, not a ha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just because of you, Nick. I'm like trying to look at kana like hardcore nowadays. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
it's fun. It's fun.
It's super.
That's great.
Fun.
I love some of them because some of them are so they just add to the immersement. Right? Like say the panel directly above that, right, where Izo is gripping the gun or whatever, and you like kacha, right? Like it's like a gun sound, right? Like you know what I mean? Like it's just
once you familiarize, because we know like we don't need to memorize onomatopoeia because like we just read the words of what they're supposed to be, or whatever. So like
we're missing out.
Yeah, but like when it's a different language, you start noticing that certain characters are used for the same sounds all the time. It's not that way really over in the West. You'll get a pow here and then a kabloom for like the same like the same punch thrown will get a different onomatopoeia, you know what I mean? And like that's probably you'll probably see that if you really think about it inside of manga too, but there are specific sounds that always have the same characters.
Yes.
That's really fucking cool to think
and
about.
that's probably just a difference in languages because like obviously there's many ways to say the same thing in all languages, right? Like there's going to be like synonyms, right?
Yeah.
But like in English is so like vast with like the same fucking word said 12, 15 different fucking ways, 20 ways. Like
it's like that in Japan too, but like it's It's
why people always say English is a really hard language to learn. It's like for us as English slang. As our first language is in our only language. It's nothing because it's like just what we know. But like when people say English is hard, I'm just like, how? Like it's not that hard, And then I was like, wait, I listen to rap. Of course, English is hard. Like, what am I talking about? Like
right, and it's because and it's like you have slang that's so integrated into our language that it's almost like a second language you have to learn on top of that.
Dialects and
and I feel like slang isn't as used in other languages, at least not in the ones that I've tried to study. So it's probably has to do with why people think learning like English is so difficult. Because there's so much more besides English on top of it. But man, wow. I love
Marco about to fly Zoro up to the top.
Yes, bro. And then of course you have
it's It's like, what does this mean? Is it possible that Zoro reaches the top before Luffy?
Yes, that's very possible.
I think that makes a lot of sense to like because you want to say Luffy should just go there, but I mean like if Zoro's
but then Zoro
secondary,
getting scraped immediately by 2 Yonko at the top, ready to just pummel his ass into the ground. Like,
or counterpoint. Not only does Zoro kill Kaido, Zoro also kills Big Mom. No, I'm just obviously not.
Clearly not.
Yeah. Or Luffy and Zoro and Sanji and probably Jinbei all get to the top at the exact same time 4 different ways.
If it was a big giant 4v2, like I would be so pleasantly surprised. I feel like that's so highly improbable, but that would be super tight, and I would love it. I mean, no matter what Oda does, I'm gonna love it. But it's like that, man. That would be like, I don't even know how to think of how that. Yeah, how does that even play out? Luffy and Zoro versus Kaido, and then Sanji and Jinbei versus Big Mom, which kind of makes a lot of sense in the fact that like
back for non-Big 3 members of the Straw Hat crew or just other allies that are there, like.
But like it makes sense matchup wise because Jinbei has a long-standing beef with Big Mom, right? Like Jinbei and Big Mom has controlled Fishman Island since Whitebeard's death, and like they've been beefing since basically the New World, the time skip, whatever. And you know, Jinbei goes straight up to her like, "Fuck you! I ain't following you no more. You can take whatever you want from me, and whatever. You catch this vagabond drill."
Yeah, that's not going unconcluded by Big Mom. Big Mom has not forgotten about that. She still wants to see that end.
Sanji has to fight a woman, right? Like you know, even though he has kicked towards that Big Mom right now, and does Big Mom constitute the type of woman that Sanji would fight or not? And that gets into a really weird place. It's like what type of woman? That's no, that's not a very good language.
Is it you don't kick red or you don't kick the hot ones? You know what I mean? Like that makes Sanji's character very weird. If it is,
that drops Sanji way in the dumpster. Like that makes Sanji worse than he already is for that. And it's like that's Sanji's like worst trait is the simpiness, right? And so it's like if you're only going to not kick the hot ones and you're going to kick the old ladies, like
it's weird, man. You're a weirdo.
It's just weird. It's definitely weird. So,
weird.
But yeah, like it would be nice to see Sanji kick the fucking shit out of Big, not win Black Maria, but like actually do damage, kick her in her face and run away. Like I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have to do that. But you made me, and now I got to go deal with Big Mom. So at least you have a precedence. Like okay, he kicked the hot one.
Yes, I need him to kick the hot one first.
You
know what I'm saying? Like you can't kick Big Mom first and then all of a sudden go, I can kick girls and then start kicking everybody you see. No. Like you need to break past the situation with a hot one first.
But yeah, I mean, I've been, it's so weird, this Zoro killing Kaido journey I've been on myself personally, because I've been back and forth on it a lot, and I get why. Like, it makes a lot of sense that it could happen, and I was talking, just in our personal chat about how, like, Shimotsuki is the month of frost, right? It means November. That is the direct translation. Like, Shimotsuki is November. And Ryuma and Zoro are both born in November. You don't know when Ushimaru is born, but it's like, okay, if Ushimaru is related to Ryuma and Zoro look exactly the same. Ryuma killed a fucking dragon already in Monsters. Like, you got all these parallels that make a lot of sense. It's definitely there. Zoro has already had dialogue like, I'm here to strike down Kaido. Like, I'm here to kill the fucking dragon. Like, he's basically said that almost verbatim. I don't remember exactly what it was, but
he said, I'm literally here to kill Kaido. So, like, but does it feel right? Even if the logic is there, does it feel right at the end of the day?
See, it's so hard to say, does it feel right in One Piece? Because I am not Oda, right? Like, and whether or not I
based
want
on the history
to act like... Exactly, but we cover other mangas that have 100 chapters, right? And when I say like these things need to happen in 100 chapter mangas, it's basically me trying to tell a mangaka what to do, where I would never do that to Oda, and I feel like I have the liberty to do it with a 100 chapter manga, which I still don't. But
it feels better.
feels better.
Feels way better.
Exactly right. So like, if Zoro kills Kaido, I'm going to love it. If Luffy kills Kaido, I'm going to love it. If nobody kills Kaido, I'm going to love it. If Sanji kills Kaido, I'll be like, what's going on? But I'm still love it. Like, no matter what, Oda's going to write it correctly, and it doesn't matter. Like, I have utmost faith no matter what happens. But yeah, I still, like, Zoro showing up before Luffy in the face of 2 Yonko is worrisome. Like, I
like that worry, though, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, definitely.
Like we've been saying, like this whole episode, like uncertainty is a really big deal, especially at this point in the shonen game where we have so much history telling us that these situations are always going to turn out fine, for everybody. And that's worked just fine, you know what I mean, in the past. But now it's getting to a point where we can see these mangaka trying to step out of that comfortability zone, and kill characters, and you know, just take risks that you didn't really see too much in the previous generations. You know what I mean? So when it gets to a point like that, it gets to a point where it's like that uncertainty is so necessary because we have so much certainty in the genre. You know what I mean? Like historically, you know. So, but
definitely.
So the fish fruit, huh?
I mean, if we want to go there now, we can go there.
Did you want to do other stuff? We can do other stuff too.
The only thing I wanted to do before we get there, because like I can probably go on a while about that, but like I just kind of want to like recap the last chapter's matchups, right? Like because since we weren't here, like we got Jinbei versus who's who, right? Yeah. I called the Saber-Tooth Tiger.
You did.
I'm Saber-Tooth Tiger.
Yes, you totally, dude. That's crazy.
Definitely called it. I mean, so I want to say that's not that hard of a call when everybody in your fucking crew's dressed like a fucking cat, and we know you have an ancient model devil fruit, right? Like,
yes. Well, I forgot that we had that much build up to it. I didn't notice his crew wearing cat clothes, I guess, before.
At least the two chicks. He has two like minks, or not. They're not. One I think is a mink, but maybe it isn't. And then one is clearly a lion smile with 4 arms, which was weird because we already had the other lion smile earlier. Hold'em. But whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I mean, it's smile though. So I mean, as long as you have a different application to your same animal devil fruit, probably
That's definitely super fair.
Probably a similar situation as like Aokiji and like Monet. You know what I mean?
But if you go back to all of who's like squad, like they're all cat. They have all the same like kind of like ear mask combo kind of thing. Cat stuff.
I did not notice that at all. I literally just like did not have any idea of what who's who was going to be. He kind of looked like a bull, so like that's where I went. I'm sure that's where you know he's got like, you know, luchador like kind of like get up like kind of, you know what I mean? That's just where my mind went. I'm sure that's where Oda tried to bring people, you know what I mean? So but like,
so he's gonna hit Jinbei with that Huracan Rana, right? You know?
Wait, what?
He's going to hit Jinbei with the Huracan Rana. You remember that joint where they jump on your head and spin around Rey Mysterio Jr.?
Yeah. The 6'1", that's the 6'19", isn't it?
I don't know.
I think
my wrestling's not very good. If it ain't 1990 fucking 9 WWE or WWF Attitude Era, and like you know, Stone Cold. If you ain't talking about Stone Cold and The Rock, like I don't even know what you're talking about.
But I totally was like, where are you going? I was like, Rey Mysterio's kit. Rey Mysterio's fighting style.
That was the thing that he did. But okay, so then you got Sanji versus Black Maria, which I kind of touched on a little bit already. But the thing about it is like, why the fuck does she look like a smile? And then why do the rest of her team why are the rest of them still snakes, right? Like if she's the I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but it's a fucking prehistoric spider. It's a prehistoric fucking spider that was small. It wasn't very big either, which was weird. I looked it up. It's like, no, this is just like a regular ass carnivorous spider, which I think most spiders are carnivorous, if not all of them.
But it's scaled up to human size or half giant size, whatever Black Maria is. Remember when you were
whatever
talking about the mantis shrimp? Devil fruit, you know what I'm saying? You scale it up to human size, and now you know what I'm saying?
Then you're punching planets, definitely. If you're a 200-pound fucking mantis shrimp, you can break the planet with your punch, probably. But I just think that it's just Black Maria, man. Oh, you got some explaining to do on Black Maria. It's like I'm super confused on Black Maria. Like I really need this connection. Why are the rest of the people still snakes then? Like why? Yeah. You know, because I was like so convinced she was a Black Mamba and she was possibly, you know, another boa, you know, related to Hancock
and
them.
Against who's who, you know, because his whole crew is cats and then he ended up being a cat, but Black Maria's whole crew is snakes, but she ended up being a spider. So you can't really use that logic to predict anything or come to any kind of conclusions.
Again, whatever Oda's decided, I'm going to be okay with it because it's Oda, but like that is one that I was just very like, why does it look like a smile? And somebody in another chat was like, well, you know, a lot of spiders like have like face designs on their like thorax or whatever, whatever the fuck, abdomen, whatever. But like this is a face that clearly has eyes that look like the eyes are moving, but then the mouth is open and the tongue is out. You can't have a tongue out, right? In a facial fucking design, right? So I don't know. Is this her hybrid form somehow for some reason? It's weird for a hybrid form. Like this doesn't make any sense, you know? So
I would assume that the full animal form would like remove most humanoid features.
But she's a human on top of a spider, a half human sitting on a spider body.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it could be a hybrid. Because you were saying it could be a hybrid. I'm basically saying I agree with that thought because of her design. Yeah.
The hybrid is the only option other than fucking Smile.
Yeah,
the hybrid
yeah.
I'm still on the fence about, right?
Yeah.
Like it's super weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple. I mean, I guess the other big one I can just say is it's Sasaki versus General Frankie. Which my question
Sasaki was Rhino,
Stegosaurus,
Triceratops. Yes.
Rhino, Nox, it was a Rhino.
That's not an ancient. No, he's not a dinosaur. Rhino still exists barely. They do. I mean, Black Rhino is damn near extinct, but they do still exist.
Yeah, he's a Triceratops.
No thanks. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No thanks to a guy who owns Jimmy John's. He hunts rhinos and all that shit. He's a piece of shit.
He does.
But
I forgot about that.
He's
what
a bad
bitch.
guy. Don't buy Jimmy John's, guys.
Never again.
But anyway, he's a terrible guy. But my big question is, will Frankie get a fight that's not General Frankie? You know, like we had the Senior Pink suplex off. But that's not enough for me to have a Frankie fight not in we need a full power Frankie fight not in General Frankie.
Gundam, and you made him suplex a motherfucker back and forth. It was great narratively. I loved the story behind the Senior Pink
it was fun
and Frankie fight. But the first real 1v1 fight, you give Frankie the Swiss Army knife and you relegate him to suplexes for 17 chapters. That's it. I was like, no, we need more. Yeah, I was like, no. I was like, we need more. Yeah, but I love that fight. I love that fight, by the way.
I'm hoping that Sasaki can somehow pry Frankie out of General Frankie, and Frankie has to actually fight using his regular form at some point. And that's when Sasaki uses his hybrid form, right? Like he used his Triceratops full form to gore the fucker and pry him open and get Frankie out.
Yep. And then they fight, in slender forms. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Would love that.
And I really don't know what's going to happen with Ulti in page 1 because they're still looking for Usopp and Nami, and it's just like, what? Okay, you can look for Usopp and Nami, but they can't give you a real fight. So is Yamato gonna 1v2 them for some reason? I don't know why it felt like Yamato being on standby was gonna, even though he's chilling with Momonosuke and given the history. It just, I don't know, for some reason felt like Yamato was the one to deal with them just because they kind of had prior beef, but who knows?
I feel like Yamato's got prior beef with everyone just from Defect.
Right.
Sure.
And Yamato is going to be sprinkled throughout every conflict. I feel like.
But they actually had a head-to-head matchup. But actually, Yamato had a head-to-head matchup with Sasaki too, and wrapped Sasaki up. So you could say the same thing with Sasaki.
Yamato's just been chilling everywhere. I feel like Yamato's going to be sprinkled throughout the conflict.
Sure. But I did want to go over that because we didn't cover last week, and that was a quick way to hyper go through last chapter and kind of recap everything that mattered, and it's just basically big matchups for big 1v1s that we hope happen, and that Oda doesn't shuffle the fights around as Oda is known to do. These, just because those matchups were in last chapter doesn't mean those are actually the matchups
going
that
to
happen.
Be tried and true matchups till the very end, But it is exciting,
even though they make a lot of sense. They make all of them make sense. Literally all of them make sense because who is the strongest fucking Toby Roppo? So why wouldn't they fight Jinbei when you have to have Sanji fight Queen and Zoro fight King? Presumably, if they're going to fight the headliners that way or the All Stars that way, and then Sanji fighting Black Maria isn't really fighting. Or he's going to kick her once and run away,
or not even kick her and just bounce. You know what I mean? Maybe
and just run away.
People
Exactly.
and then bounce. You know what I mean? Something like
that.
Yeah,
but those are all women too.
Yeah, that's right. But it's so cool that we see the matchups at least teased because it's exciting because we haven't had tried and true 1v1 confrontations in One Piece since Dressrosa. So that was a long ass time ago, you know what I mean? So, and before that, we hadn't really seen it since in East Lobby, you know what I mean? So it's cool because I miss that in One Piece, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm so used to I've completely abandoned that idea that should be a thing in One Piece where everyone gets their own matchup because I'm just used to the shift in storytelling coming out of the time skip. I understand that it's not as much about that anymore, and we're trying to finish this story. So but yes, the teased matchups do seem exciting, and if we do get tried and true 1v1s inside of all of those, or just in general throughout this arc, even if it's not the 1v1s that were teased, I'm going to be very happy about that. But I'm also going to be super stoked if it's not like that, because that brings it back to that uncertainty that I love inside of this story. So,
oh man, you know what? Marco sends off Robin and Brooke to go inside the castle right now, and Ulti and Page One are raging inside the castle, looking, for like Nami. So it's like it really could be Robin versus Ulti and Brooke versus Page One. Feels a little weird and a little awkward.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
We'll see how he does it.
Yeah.
But fish fruit, though. We should definitely talk about this before we wrap it up, because it's like, what does this even mean? I feel like this explains why he never jumped off the Sky Island into the water, because he could probably just breathe if he's a fish to some degree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, just because Big Mom gave Kaido the fruit doesn't mean Kaido ate it.
You're right. You're
yeah. But I think he did, because
totally right.
the fish fruit makes sense that it can only be mythical, and they can't be a fucking whole slew of fish fruits around, because that just negates the value of it. Like that negates the penalty of a devil fruit, right?
Yeah.
So
or
like
it's like
the fact
Jack,
that
where you can still breathe underwater because you're a fish man, but you still can't move, right?
But he's a fish man. He has a mythical Zoan fucking woolly mammoth fruit. It's not because of the fruit that he's able to breathe underwater, right? Like,
no, I know, but the fruit detriment is still there. Like, he couldn't move. Like, he was still like,
correct.
He was still fucked up because of devil fruit.
Like Vanderdeck.
Sure.
But he could breathe
like
because he's a
Vanderdeck
fish
too.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that makes sense. But so, fish fruit being is model dragon. Fish fruit model Eastern dragon makes a lot of sense, because in the lore, a koi had to swim up a fucking waterfall in order to become a dragon, and that's what the lore behind Magikarp and Gyarados is. And shout outs to our good buddy Silvers from Extra Dimensional. His theory, talking to him in private here, he had a really good theory that mythical fruits have to actually go through the fucking ordeal that their lore suggests, right? Like Kaido was a koi and had to swim up the waterfall in order to become a dragon. Marco has to die in order for the Phoenix power to arise. Like those things have to happen.
And they were just regular devil fruits until they leveled up because of that situation.
Well, and that's really cool, and I really like that. But my theory, it is awesome. But my theory about Yamato then being the mythical white tiger, because the white tiger represents the West. It's the 4 cardinal directions with the Chinese constellation, and the Azure Dragon. Azure Dragon is one of them, and the white tiger is another one of them. The Vermilion Bird.
From Yu Yu Hakusho.
The Saint Beast.
Were you going there? My bad if you were going there. I didn't know if you were going to say that.
I tweeted it a couple days ago, but before this chapter even came out, so probably a week ago. Okay. But it was, One Piece is burning a hole in my pocket. I really needed to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So Vermilion Bird can be Marco, even though Vermilion's technically red, but Vermilion is fire, and it could be just an aesthetic choice that Oda chose blue because blue is cooler. Yeah. And then the black tortoise would be the only thing that we don't have yet. Which those round out the Saint Beasts, the constellations, which 3 out of 4 would be here on Wano. Which could there be the 4th one? I don't know.
Where is Genbu, bro?
Yeah, where's Genbu? But Byakko, the mythical white tiger, fits really well, I think, for Yamato for a lot of reasons, because the lore around it is the white tiger will only appear if a benevolent and truly fucking righteous ruler appears to take over a tyrannical empire, which Momonosuke taking over Kaido.
Yes, sir.
There it is, right?
Yes, sir.
So it just and Yamato being
his
benefactor.
I love both ideas so much.
Yeah.
They kind
of clash a little bit, though. Well, here's why we can't have both, because the mythical white tiger only turns white after 500 years of life, and it grows a second tail. And I don't know. So it would be like the white tiger has to live 500 years to complete the ordeal, which would be weird, obviously, and it doesn't actually necessarily have to.
Maybe that's represented in the generational difference between Oden and Yamato.
Sure, and it definitely could be something like that, which would Oda would do masterfully, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Azure Dragon is a fish to me still. It's Seiryu, the blue dragon, whatever. That dragon is in the water, lives in the water. It's all a part of the lore. Fish it is kind of.
That's so wild. I never would have made that connection.
And it's so frustrating but cool at the same time that it's just fish fruit, no model, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And it's such an
we'll get model.
We'll get model, right. But it's just like the way that it's introduced here is just like supposed to be ambiguous on purpose, which is frustrating in that regard. But it's cool because it's like, okay, fish fruit. You said fish fruit model dragon, but all of the dinosaur fruits are Ryu no Mi model. So like we already have that dragon aspect inside.
But dragon is dinosaur in Japan. Is the problem?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they've referred to like dinosaurs are dragons to them, right? Like that's as far as I've understood. It's like that's what they refer to dinosaurs as. Like they refer to them as Ryu, right?
Okay.
Like
well, there it is.
That's so I don't want to say that confidently because I could be wrong on that.
If that's the case, then there it is, though. Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that's the case. Is that the Japanese have always referred to dinosaurs as dragons?
Yeah, so then that's cool. Then
that'd be wild.
Fish fruit model actual dragon and not just the word we're using for dragon because it's dinosaurs. Yeah, that's cool.
Right.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So man,
well, damn.
On the day the rocks fell into ruin at God Valley, I gave you that legendary model of the fish fruits. You owe me for life, Kaido. Whatever you say, we can talk after we get it. The One Piece that is.
Yeah.
God damn.
I hate that the word legendary is used because I read scans and mythical was the word used in the scans. You know, and it's like if we're running with mythical, let's just use mythical. Why are we using legendary all the time?
Unless it is actually supposed to be legendary, and like that's just the word that was used there.
There's a whole new fucking category.
It could be that there's a whole new category, but also it could just be like they're saying legendary right here, and like I don't know what the actual like what the Japanese characters say, whether it's mythical or legendary. But I could totally see the fan scans going, this word means mythical, legendary, like whatever, but maybe it's not directly the word and they just chose mythical because it falls in line with the lore of One Piece. They just made that decision themselves, whereas Stephen Paul could have said no, like they're actually saying legendary here on purpose because ancient and mythical is supposed to be ambiguous right now still, you know what I mean, whether it's ancient or mythical, you know what I mean. But
and they're to me legendary. they're clearly two different types. That's why like ancient and mythical are clearly two different types to me.
Right.
You know, like legendary. I mean,
what I'm saying is that legendary is the word that's being used so that they don't confirm ancient or mythical.
Say one or the
now.
other. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
That's what I mean, my bad.
Or the other thing is that like Big Mom and Kaido could both know that it is, say, mythical. It's one of the two, but it is also legendary, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that good that it is legendary. It's mythical and it's legendary, right?
They're bringing up the fact that it's legendary first, while it could still be mythical in the background.
Yeah.
Which begs the question then: if this was legendary and it's known, Big Mom knew what this fruit was before she gave it to Kaido, and how and why and who had it before him. And
we're talking about Rocks.
Like, I mean, Rocks had the darkness fruit, bro. He had the
but he had the
yummy,
book,
man.
didn't he?
Yeah, he did have the book. Yeah. Sure. But like, man, it just like opens the question though. Like, or I mean, I guess not. Like, it doesn't have to ever be answered, but just the fact that it's like, I want to see this book, right? I want to actually like have Oda do like his own like devil fruit book on the side, and then show who like the previous owners were with like a little bit of lore, because it's like it would make a lot of sense
if the Rocks Pirates.
If the Rocks Pirates knew, like, whoever was like the Rocks Pirates before the Rocks Pirates, the people that were running shit trying to, you know, get to One Piece before Rocks was, and there was these other pirates, whatever, that's got to be 60, 70 years ago, but had these devil fruits and they were known at the time, and that's why there is information on them. They did make it to the book. Rocks was able to figure that out. So yeah, I mean, hey man, if any story is going to do it, you know, Oda, One Piece, we could get that all day. And you never know. You never know, man. That'd be hype.
Best thing about it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was $9.99. You guys are good, right? You guys don't have anything else? You guys don't have anything else for One Piece?
Next fucking
1,000 is in 2 weeks. What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have one big thing. I forgot. Yeah. I have to say this. I have to. Okay. Let me find what page, because it's very, very important. Oh man, I can't believe I almost forgot this. So, God damn it, I got to make sure I'm looking at the page to tell you.
Got it. You will find
Yeah. So, but anyway, I guess, I mean, all right, let me say one stupid thing first.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does Queen have guns in his mouth that are coming out and shooting?
Yeah, what is that about?
Yeah, like
I thought
really,
like it was just perspective, and he had the blicky like right here on his, but no, he's like doesn't have hands right now.
So
doesn't have opposable thumbs. Yeah.
He's in the same boat as Frankie. He's a fucking android at this point, right? Like he's. Which, you're not going to see Frankie versus Queen, but that'd be cool if they had some kind of dialogue about that. But okay, I found it. It's top of page 17. After all, Luffy's name has the letter D in the middle, right? Like obviously the will of D is huge, but what is Yamato holding? Well, he references this.
Isn't that Odin's journal?
Yes. Yamato knows full well what the will of D is, and we're about to get that information next chapter.
Hey,
man,
well,
stop
next
it.
chapter, but soon.
No,
soon.
it's 1,000.
Oh,
1,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's 1,000, bro.
Yes. Yamato knows full well about the will of D and is about to spew the information that Odin has cultivated in his journal to Momonosuke. Has to pass the legacy on to Momonosuke and explain we're getting a full will of D reveal next week. And I don't think, I would like people to scour the internet and see if anybody else has said that, because I've never seen. Well, and I try to stay away from the internet until we do our thing. For the most part, sure, we go on Twitter a little bit, we're in our Discord a little bit, but for the most part, I try to keep my fucking analysis completely me and leave all these other influences out as possible. If anybody on the internet has found anywhere that somebody said Yamato's looking at the fucking Odin's journal while talking about the will of D, I would love to hear it, because when this dawned on me, like reading this chapter like the third time, I got out of my chair, threw my chair on the ground and walked away. I was like, we're getting will of D next chapter. We're getting will of D next chapter. Oh my God, we're finally getting will of D. Like fuck, man. I was just going crazy. Going crazy.
Boy, if we get will of D, chapter 1,000. Bro, motherfuckers were saying all types of shit. They were like, what is chapter 1,000 going to be? Someone's going to die, someone's going to show up, or huge lore information is going to be dropped, or some combination, or all three.
I can't believe I almost forgot of this.
Fam,
yeah.
It's like 1,000's got to be one of those things. Like someone is dying, someone crazy like Shanks is pulling up, or we're getting all of the will of D info.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
I really challenge the internet, because it's like, I really want to see if anybody else said this, and I also want to see, like, if this happens next week, I feel like I just need to be crowned the greatest of all time.
Yeah, that's too much. That's too big.
It's like, and I know I'm, being a little facetious here and going too far, but it's like, man, if this really happens, like, I'm going to be strutting like a peacock for a long time on this one, bro. I called Willa D on 1,000. That's me, bro. That's me, bro.
I called Willa D on 1,000. Put that on a shirt.
Hey, my Willa D is on 1,000 at all times, so like that just fits, bro. Like, so what can you do? My wife's pregnant. Willa D, it happened, right?
Oh my God, that is so massive, bro. Like, if that's what we're seeing next chapter, holy fucking smokes, you guys.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Wow. Well, let's leave it on that.
Yeah,
let's leave it on that, because I'm good on One Piece. We had a hefty conversation of everything this week. I think this was a great way to start season 3. Couple things that we should talk about as far as like the future goes. We have a couple streams that are planned. You guys helped us get to 2,000 subs before the end of the year. Thank you so much
Arigato.
for that. We thought we would be lucky if we saw 1,000 subs, or if we saw 2,000 subs by the end of the year. We tweeted out, yo, help us get to 2K subs by the end of the year. You guys gave us 50 subs in like 2 hours. So thank you all so much. For the new people, welcome. We hope you enjoyed, the first like real episode of the Project Manga Podcast since season 2 ended. And by the way, we are going to be talking about the end of Chainsaw Man Part 1. The very first one shot that we do, for season 3 is going to be the end of Chainsaw Man conversation. That is definitely something that we have to do, period. No questions, no doubt about it. And then also, because we got to 2,000 subs before the end of the year, we're going to do a very special 2,000 sub appreciation stream, which is going to be in the form of a Jujutsu Kaisen character tier list. So be on the lookout for that. Just stay tuned for updates on dates and whatnot. We have to figure things out with scheduling and things like that, but it is coming very soon. But other than that, I think that is all of the announcements that we have for the future. So I think that's this episode of the Project Manga Podcast, you guys. Season 3, Episode 1, Jujutsu Kaisen. Dr. Stone coverage starts next episode. Mashle, Black Clover, My Hero Academia, and One Piece were all phenomenal this week. They probably all are going to be again next week. Who knows? We'll see. Can't wait to talk about it. At least One Piece is something that we can all look forward to as a major event inside of manga, period. And I cannot wait to have those discussions. But thank you all so much for watching. If you did, check us out in our description section. That's going to be where you see our link tree. That's where we're at on social media, online communities you can join like Discord, ways to consume the Project Manga Podcast inside of audio-only platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, and ways to support the Project Manga Podcast, including our online store and Patreon, will also be included in that description section. But with all that being said, I think that this was a phenomenal first episode of Season 3 inside of the Project Manga Podcast. Wrapping up, I'm your host, Knox.
Peace, y'all. It's Kiko.
And Nickums.
Sada Bada.